We're still in the same document. I need to update the title, though, because I didn't change the day, the 8th. Oh, Dr. J, thanks for permission to start the show. Appreciate it, finally. Mutual associate, Dr. J Banana. I feel like I'm being gaslit by the mods. Manipulated. I think some of them's got some Tim Ballard in them. Mariah's sick, so I'll probably just do these last 2 Tim Ballard statements to get the hell out of here. She has a sinus thing going on. She's been in bed all day. We got one of those things that like blows salt water up your nose and out your mouth. And then I gave her a couple Angry Dragons, but I don't know how well that helped. I don't know. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They want to let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, we kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away. Burn away, we feel. I will report my ankle's doing a lot better, guys, if anybody's even concerned about that. No, it's not an neti pot. Kind of looks like a teapot. This is like a, I don't know. It's like it looks like a water pick. You know what a water pick is? But it's for your nose holes. I got in there and cranked up the damn, cranked up the pressure. It'll knock a fucking tooth out. You're not ready for it. Hello, mutual associate Spicy Atsuko. Greetings from America. How's it in China? Maybe it's still called a neti pot, but it's not like the one that kind of looks like a teapot. It's like a It looks like a water pick and hooks up to your nose and blows shit out your mouth. Gives you the old reverse angry dragon, if you know what I mean. Tuesday. I'm the Risley Bear. Welcome to Rizganistan. I'm 2 days into gooning, and I'm 3 edges behind. Where's the timer at? Wow, that was way off. Who started that? Oh, it's probably thrown off by the showering. The showering that stopped the entire show. Thank you for the resubscription. We're doing a fundraiser to get a walk-in shower for Jay. Dr. J, maybe they'll make it a little bit quicker when she shuts down my entire job, my living, my livelihood.
Hey, Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, losers. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Will Bird. This Cold Beer Confessional. Mariah's currently sick. She's been in the bed. So last night, she was telling me before I started my show, like she felt like shit. And she had a headache. And then when I went home, I woke her up. She barely had a voice. I went out and got her medicine this morning. She took the kids to school, but felt really bad. Because I'm not usually awake at that time. She usually goes to bed before I get home. At some point in the show, she falls asleep. So she usually got a couple hours of sleep on me at least. So she takes the kids to school. And then, like, when she's sick or at work or whatever, I pick the kids up. So I picked the kids up today, and she's been in bed basically all day. She got up to take the kids to school. She went back to bed. I picked the kids up and got them something to eat in between working on the grills. And then she got up and got Ollie dressed and ready for bed, and that was about it. She's back in bed, so she doesn't feel well. It's a sinus infection, she thinks, maybe, or something. It started off as a sinus headache, back of the throat, kind of losing your voice deal. But sinus headache doesn't cause all those other symptoms usually. So anyways, it's a sinus thing. She's working on that. I went and bought her some day and night sinus medicine and something else, like ultimate sinus pain relief, Aleve or some shit. Either way, what's up, guys? Welcome. We're still in the same Tim Ballard thing. Still the same document. We're still reading it. If you haven't seen my last 2 shows, the first show 2 shows ago was about the lawsuit that's been filed, and we read all that. And then the last show, we read 3 witness statements. We got 2 left, and I think the last one's probably the longest one. We're going to read those, and then I'll wrap it up. There is one thing that I didn't know if it really fit in the show on the last one, and I had a lot to get done. I was hoping to get all 5 knocked out last time, so I didn't play it. But I should have. It's pretty good. So our boy Brad made us a new video from Good Line Films with a deep inhale. So let's see what this is. Oh, no. It's got to work, right? Okay.
As I stepped onto the field,
oh no.
Little did I know our match would turn into a fight for survival.
This is like a movie. A fight for survival. Oh no, they're being trafficked.
It was Emma's resilience.
Footballers getting trafficked.
Found a way out. And with our soccer skills.
Looks like a good movie though.
The captors.
Who were the captors?
Was our salvation. We emerged stronger. united by the bond of teamwork. Back on the field, we carried with us
Okay.
the spirit that brought us through, ready to conquer any challenge that came our way.
We had some already today, so I don't know if there's more coming or what. So that, but we had some pretty bad ones today. So that's a little movie teaser about some female footballers being trafficked. Oh, look out.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Tim, and I want to take a minute to show you the difference.
Oh, no. He changed the name. He changed the name of Bologna Fried's business, supported by Wayfair, by the way, to Bona Hide. Bona Hide. Uh-oh.
Between a
Used shipping containers.
one-trip container. All right, so this container, this particular container right here, still a good container, nothing wrong with it, but it does come over here and look at this.
Bona Hide.
It does have dings and scratches.
Dings and scratches over there.
Over the years, these get a little tighter to harder to open.
Okay.
Make sure that they're good to open.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Bona Hide. He's done it now.
Closes good. Most of these new boxes,
So he has the footballers.
you have to have a special lock.
I did not like that hand action. Makes me miss Mariah. What is that? What is that? Going in deep.
Closes good. Most of these new boxes come with a lock box.
Get it, Bona Hide. Oh, no. More footballers. He's delivering them. Look out. Who would have known? Our boy,
Need some farm labor.
Bologna Fried.
The farm laborers for you.
Farm laborers. Oh, my God. He's expanding his business right in front of our eyes.
If you need some farm labor, we got lots of farm laborers for you
Oh, goodness.
here on the lot.
It's like a Home Depot parking lot.
You can give us a call.
Bona Hide. Oh, no. Oh, God. They look so sad.
We'll return after these messages.
What else we got? Perfect.
Zelly me. Zelly me. Zelly me. Can you zelly me? Zelly me. Zelly me. Zelly me. Can you zelly me? Zelly me. Zelly me. Zelly me.
This is my favorite commercial, dude. It's always stuck in my head.
Zelly me. Zelly me. Zelly me. Can you zelly me?
Oh, sorry. Uh-oh, there he is. This is from our show in Kenya. Don't mind all the white people. There you go. Latest video from Brad, everybody. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Guys, if you want to support the show, please go to coldbeer.fund, make a contribution there. Coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. That's how we support the show. It's 100% funded by viewers like you. I've been so busy. I've been thinking about taking a sponsorship. They've been trying to get me to do a sponsorship for another game. Plus, there's like a credit company that I've been in talks with, like a credit repair and monitoring company that actually is legitimate. It's like there's a bunch that scam. Well, I wouldn't say scam. They do work on your credit, but where their residual income, they want it to take like years, right? And they'll say, well, you didn't make all these mistakes overnight. Then there's other companies that actually work really hard for less money. And I found a decent one, a credit repair company that I'm thinking about working with, but we'll talk about that later if we get it. But right now, it's 100% funded by you guys. 100% funded by you guys. And yeah, if you want to go to coldbeer.fund and help us out. Couple more announcements. I made some grills. This actually looks pretty good. I like this. So these are our fire pits. I don't have the other picture, but here you can see where like the top raises up, and it's just an old car tire. So there's actually mesh down in the bottom, expanded metal down in the bottom that I added. So it's welded down there in the bottom. And then there's a grill top. So these will probably rust. They're out in the weather. This whole thing was rusted before I started welding on it. But at least there's something, like you still might have to use aluminum foil, but I like these. I was always a fan of the grills at the national parks. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what we almost did before we're like, why would we get, what's it called? I guess just a park grill. Not Gatlinburg. Just, I don't know why Otto suggested that, but park grill. I like these grills. I was always a fan of these grills. I grew up on these grills. I don't even think we owned a grill for a long time when I was little. We would just go to like the local park and use these grills. I do like these grills, but I think the ones we made will work pretty good. And that's what I've been working on the last couple of days. I only got one done today, but I got everything set up to where I should be able to do 2 or 3 a day. That's it, cutting the metal, welding it in, grinding back all the way so I can strike an arc. So I think it'll work pretty good with the grills we're making. Slowly making improvements, I guess. So this will be my job for the next, they want them all done by Memorial, at least. So like at the campground, there's long term, which is like everybody that lives there like year round. And then there's not long term, which is like all the rentals where they make their money on weekends or weeks or whatever. So all the ones that are not long term are like riverfront properties, like right on the river. And I think they want all those done by Memorial Day. And that's what, the 17th? '27th? It's the 27th. So there's actually more time. So that'll probably be my job up until Memorial Day. I'll just be doing those. So there you go. That's what's going on in my world. I actually got my ankles doing a little bit better. I was actually able to, I don't know if I want to show this video, but here you go. I was actually able to hop on the one wheel and ride it. So, well, my ankle's good enough to be on a one wheel at 2 a.m., huh? There you go, 2 a.m. riding the one wheel in my steel-toed, shockproof tennis shoes. There you go, got to ride the one. What are those? So that's a little bit better. That's an improvement. People asking about my damn my ankle. The things I've got so far seem to be working. I can still feel it like through the day, like I wear it out basically, and it gets really stiff. But even that's getting better. I'm hoping that I can get back on the treadmill because I was doing well. I was losing weight and doing well, counting my calories and shit. But I don't want to put myself back in a position. I was legit. I know you guys thought I was probably joking. I was legit using a cane for a while. Like legit using a cane, and it's only because I didn't have a crutch. I have a scooter from where I've had ankle and knee injuries before. Like as you put one leg on and you kind of scoot. But I was the only thing we had at the house that wasn't in storage. I was legit using a fucking cane to walk around. Look like Dr. What's the guy's name? Damn, that would have been a good joke too, or a good segue. What's the doctor's name that uses the cane and he's like a super genius or whatever? I was gonna say Doctor Who, but that's not right. What's the guy's name? He figures everything out. Anyways, on top of that, our good friend of the show, Jammy's back, and she still has house. Thank you. And she still has no idea what's going on here. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. She still has no idea what's going on between her and I. So let's check that out. Jammy, longtime stalker of myself. Yeah, but I'm 35. Like I should have to go from like completely able-bodied to on a cane. Anyways, so she's back under Moroccan Rose 21, and it says, no matter what, Will, you are someone really important and special to me. Now, I don't know this woman. I've never spoken to this woman personally. Only ever spoken to her in comments where I told her to leave me the fuck alone. I've ignored her. She thinks that we're in love and I'm coming to... One time she's like, you didn't show up on the 4th of July. I was so upset. Like she's fucking crazy. A crazy fucking stalker. I've never spoken to this woman ever. except like responding to comments or when she was in the live chat, like I, read somebody's live chat message and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like she's legit unhinged. Here we go. No matter what, Will, you are someone really important and special to me. I didn't even care if you never gave a shit about me and it was just a game. Because here with you, I always felt the most peaceful, and all I have wanted my whole life was to feel at peace. I feel like now I am being fucked with so that nobody feels safe. And just know, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, really, and I don't care because I fucking had to choose between God and my son, and I chose God for this. I don't know if she drowned a kid in a bathtub or what, but this seems like a confession, right? To sit for 3 years and have my head fucked with and my heart broken, and at least this show felt peaceful compared to what I feel lately with the monkey wrench breaking my window, Mike stealing my money, and then buying me what I was going to buy, so it always looks like he's buying me things. I'm such a user. It was my money. I bought it. You people are, I don't know who, but you want to win money betting on if you are able to hurt me. I don't even care. This show helped me sleep, helped my anxiety, and even when you hurt me, I just didn't feel like you were intentionally being cruel. I was. 100%. I was being as cruel as I possibly could. No joke, no ditty, just cruel, okay? Betting on if you're to help me, I don't even care. This show helped me to sleep, helped my anxiety. Even when you hurt me, I just didn't feel like you were intentionally being cruel. Maybe I'm wrong, and it all you. I don't care. And I'm not your family because you won't even let me have a name be spoken. I'm a nobody, used to play time after time with, but still, you matter to me, whoever you are. You're my favorite person. I'm just not yours. I hope you do win, Will, whatever it is you're trying to win. Again, I've never spoken to this person. Not on the phone, not in text messages, not at all. Literally, the only time I've responded to her comments on videos like this is telling her to leave me the fuck alone, like I'm happily married. I don't know who the fuck she is. She's crazy. And the other times that I would just speak, like when I randomly read somebody's chat message. She's probably came in under like 30 different accounts. And I can usually pick her out when she starts saying some real crazy shit. And I'll even say, are you Jamie? Her name's Jamie, but it's spelled weird, Jamy. Are you Jamie? And then she'll dip the fuck out and we'll have to ban that account. Like, it's pretty bad. So, Jamie's back. I have to report this shit to the police again. And then we'll go right to the document. Here we go. So, remember where we parked, chat. We're on Exhibit D. This would be statement of MK. So, we got 2 statements left. Ready? Are you ready? Let's get... You know the guy who did Let's Get Ready to Rumble? He sued a bunch of video games and shit because that was basically his thing. Like, let's get ready to rumble. And no one ever asked permission to use his voice and shit. Isn't that crazy? One more video I forgot that I had that I wanted to show you guys. Tribal police have literally no fucking chill. Check this out. These protesters here outside of Burning Man. Oh, you're going to block the road with a trailer you're chained to? Fuck your trailer. Look at him. What? What? They just ran through the fucking trailer that these people are chained to. What? Not only do they run through the trailer that these climate protesters are chained to, blocking traffic, apparently there wasn't even an emergency because they turn around and come back and arrest everybody.
Did anyone get that?
Yeah.
But look, they come back.
They're chained.
Get on the ground. Stop resisting.
Get out! On the ground! On the ground now!
So there wasn't even an emergency for them to respond to. They just wanted to hit, like they could have just pulled up and arrested the people, but they drove through their fucking trailer, went out the road a mile, flipped a bitch, came back, and arrested everybody.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
We're nonviolent. Well, I woke up today and chose violence, okay? I'm guessing that one of them had to have thrown something or something at the car. Like after, I don't know why they ran through the trailer, but I guess somebody maybe have thrown something at the car, maybe? I don't know. It escalated quickly, didn't it? And the only thing I can guess is that the part that he ran through, I just now saw it. Cool, you saw it last year. Thanks for the update. The part he ran through, maybe he just thought it was a sign. He didn't realize the trailer went on beyond that. Maybe he just thought it was a sign sitting there. I don't know. Very weird.
Did anyone get that?
Yeah.
Daryl,
Did anyone get this? Because they're coming back to arrest your ass.
they're chained.
Get out now! Get out! On the ground! All of you on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
We're nonviolent. He approached very carefully to gun it through their trailer. And it doesn't violently throw him, but you can see this one bitch being pushed by it. Like, I'm sure she could have gotten, reported injuries and shit. Look at this woman right here. Boom. She was sitting on it. But she's being slung around by the trailer. I don't know. No chill. No chill. All right, back to it. Exhibit D, statement from MK. Now, these are all the statements of the 5 victims that are suing Tim Ballard. We've basically learned through a lot of this documentation, Tim Ballard's kind of a piece of shit. Okay? He claims to be working this operation to rescue and protect and take care of trafficked and raped women while he's literally trafficking and raping women. Like, Tim Ballard is a piece of shit. I've been saying this for 3 years. You know that's not an answer, right? They refused to move. It's why they ran through it. You know that's not an answer, right? Right. Anyways, I've known Ballard for a few years working as a makeup artist on multiple production sets. It took a different turn 1 year ago while we were on the set for OUR. When I was asked to potentially go on a mission with OUR, Tim was persistent in having me on his team, and I was excited to learn more about what a mission entailed. I asked if it was a paid job, and he said I would be compensated and paid to go. After giving him my number and exchanging multiple text messages, I decided to meet with him, and he took me to a private room where the door was locked behind me. Ooh. Anytime you step into a room and it's not your significant other or a hotel room or something, and the person reaches back and locks the door, very rarely is anything good, unless you're at a drug dealer's house, I guess, or something like that. But if it's just like, oh, you're meeting somebody the first time, they're like, tick, as soon as you step through the door, tick, click, click, you're done for. It was a bit sketchy, but I went along with it because it seemed like an interview at first. Then he sat down across from me and said, I need to prove that we had strong enough connection in order to be believable and potentially hired as his girlfriend for the mission coming up, which would be in about 2 months later. So I wasn't sure what to do. He stared at me and said, you can't touch me, but I need to show me what you can do to basically turn me on enough that he would want to have sex with me. So you can't touch me, but basically what you need to turn me on enough that Tim Ballard would want to have sex with you. Then we were interrupted, and his bodyguard said he had to leave. Ballard and I got close in proximity a few times, but I felt very confused about what the meeting was about or what exactly he needed to do. He was evasive and with explaining, and he wanted me to do the work. That's why he's so vague, right? That's why he's so vague. And he wanted me to do the work and come up with the ideas in the room to connect with him. After about 45 minutes in his office and talking about everything in detail, he made me feel like I passed the test, but I didn't know what it meant going forward. I wanted to support the cause, so I signed an NDA. God damn, there's a mustache here tickling me. So I signed an NDA before entering the private room. There was a lot of talk and anticipation about different scenarios that could potentially happen if I was on a mission with him. I left and waited to hear from him again. In his text messages to me, he was persistent and aggressive and very forward with me, being involved. He wanted me on board and to say yes to being okay with the following scenarios. Those scenarios included, here's the scenarios you have to be okay with. If we were in a hot tub together, he would have to touch me under the water so they would believe we were into each other, which meant under my swimsuit. Potentially, we would have to shower together. That's the same way it is in Tennessee. I would have to have an orgasm if needed for them to hear it or fake it. Got to be able to orgasm on cue. I would have to turn him on enough that he'd want to have sex with me when we got back to the hotel. I'd be his girlfriend, GF, the entire trip, including in the airport and back. People had to believe us the entire time that we were together. So the entire time. From the time we meet up to the time we get back, even stateside. We met on multiple occasions, and he would ask if I could get together or see him after. But fortunately, I always had early morning call times, and usually couldn't go along with him. He talked me into meeting at a hotel with our OUR members for the official training. But when I asked what to attend when I arrived, it didn't end up being training at all. It was very private. I was told I'd be paid that weekend, but never got any compensation from OUR. I met Ballard at my hotel room. I met Ballard at my hotel room upon his request, where I did another audition to see if I was eligible. So this time he said to show me what I was willing to do or how far I was willing to go without physical contact. So I felt required to turn him on or give him a show by taking my clothes off into my underwear. Damn. And he told me to say, fuck me, as I looked into his eyes. He watched me on the chair, and I felt very uncomfortable. I never said that word out loud before, but he said it was necessary. After a long while, and with his arms around me, he said he was too turned on and that we should go to the gym together. I declined. I never saw him again, and he later told me he couldn't do missions anymore because he was too well known. That's when it was confirmed to me that I had been used and played. It was all for his enjoyment. It's weird, like, it's better that he didn't just violently rape these women, but it's much, much creepier that he wants to do all this weird controlling shit without raping them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think penetration, this plus penetration obviously would have been worse. Right.
Anonymous gifted Sook53 a subscription. An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Sook53.
Thank you for the gifted subs. But on the creepiness scale, this is much creepier. That he's like, look me in the eyes and fuck me. I'm too turned on. We should go work out our lats. Like, this is much creepier than if he would have done these things and penetration. Even though it's less violent, less of a crime, less whatever. It's still creepy as fuck. It was all for his enjoyment. While I was in the middle of so much with work as a makeup artist and barely even keeping up with my insanely busy schedule, Ballard decided to try and convince me to come with him on a mission, but instead there was no mission. I was disappointed that I was treated like an object and even more upset that it was all for his entertainment and pleasure. For a year, I sat in silence knowing my story wouldn't matter. But now, maybe it will make a difference. After getting to the hotel at midnight, I was asked to sign another MDA and was told we would go clubbing that night as prep for the mission. He stayed in my room for about an hour, and I declined because I was much too tired. He stayed in my hotel room and asked me multiple times if I was recording him and if I was excited to be a part of this. I was in my pajamas and didn't understand what was going on or why he was asking so many questions at 1 in the morning. He said this was all private and nobody could hear about anything or would be used against me. I was told the next day to go to training, but there wasn't any training to go to. I basically left feeling depleted and used and completely confused. I was willing to go until I realized the truth about his project. I felt devalued after that day. He basically told me in a few texts that he didn't need me anymore, but if I still wanted to go on a mission, I could reach out to someone else. I didn't give him what he wanted. Other facts. Tim asked me to tattoo him up and go to a strip club with him. I declined. We met on multiple occasions, and he made me feel important by telling me I was perfect for the job. He was polite and would open my door and give me compliments. He would often check on me because I was so busy and even sick and working so much, I rarely had time to message him back because I was double and triple booked on other projects. He still sent links. He sent links and kept inquiring about the mission for me to be on board with him. He made it all sound very exciting. After all the meetings and time taken out of my schedule, I was thrown away like a piece of trash. I've been attending therapy this past year to understand the situation and regain my confidence and feel safe. It has been very hard for me to wrap my head around what happened to me when I trusted someone like Ballard, who talked about saving innocent lives, when in reality I felt like he was taking advantage of me and had other intentions for me. I was also disappointed with OUR Foundation and how they didn't do anything to stop him. This is the last one from, we're just going to call it H, but HDT. I was introduced to Tim Ballard by my friend, client, CL. She is, I believe, a part owner in a local business establishment. She was pre-screening the movie The Sound of Freedom for OUR and Tim Ballard. One day, I wonder if we could figure out who this is, CL. It's a female named CL who lives in the Utah area who was given a pre-screening of The Sound of Freedom. One day, I was doing her hair. She told me about this organization that helps save women and children from sex traffickers. She proceeded to tell me stories about how awful the world of sex trafficking is and what his organization... This is how most of this QAnon shit spreads, too. I don't think there's anybody that'd be like, damn right, they need to kidnap and traffic children, right? So when people ask you, like, aren't you against trafficking children? It's very hard to say, like, yeah, I am against trafficking children, but I don't believe that all this shit's going on. Because when you deny that, they're going to turn it around on you and say, oh, well, you must hate. They do it to me all the time. You hate kids. You're a pedo. You're a Satanist. You're a piece of shit. You're a liberal, whatever, right? Someone called me a socialist the other day. She told me about this organization that helps save women and children from sex traffickers. She proceeded to tell me stories about how awful the world of sex trafficking is and what this organization was doing to help save the children around the world. CL was doing the scheduling for these premieres. She asked me if I wanted to go to one of the pre-screenings after the movie. Tim was there answering some questions. I told CL that if he really was famous, he needed a new hairstyle. When she ran into him, she told him that she had a great hairstylist. She said, I think you should try her out. He said he had his assistant reach out to me. I went to a house on Saratoga Springs. It was October 24th, 2021. Apparently, Tim was doing some sort of therapy that he had to do for 3 days in a row. This is probably ketamine. He was on his third day and had to be away from his friends and family. Only Catherine, his wife, could be there. He couldn't have his phone or anything until the end of the 3 days, which would have been that night. So I had been communicating with his assistant, Dimitri, who was his bodyguard, about the time and place to meet up so that I could cut and color Tim's hair. When I showed up to the house in Saratoga Springs, which was not his house, I guess it was just a house where he was doing his therapy, his wife, Catherine, opened the door. She let me in, and Tim was coming down the stairs. He looked like he just woke up. He and Catherine were talking about what they wanted to do to his hair. He was saying that he wanted to have a more edgier look. She did not want that. She didn't want him to color his hair more blonde, which is what he wanted. They couldn't really agree, so she just said, do whatever you want, and left, and told me that his assistant would be there soon. When she left, he began to tell me that Catherine doesn't like his hair light because it reminds her of when he would do operations, and it made her uncomfortable, and she did not like that. So we kind of talked about how there are different levels of light colors that he could have. And maybe in the past it looked like a beach boy blonde, so we could do more of a natural blonde, and maybe she would like that better. So we agreed, and I started cutting his hair. We did that. Then as I started applying the lightener, Tim started asking me questions. He asked what I knew about OUR, and I said I didn't know much except for what CL had told me. And that his movie was out. He seemed very shocked and almost disappointed that I knew nothing about his company, because he likes to play that star power, right? Or the fact that he has some type of authority, or he's famous or whatever. Disappointed that I knew nothing about his company or him for that matter. He asked what I did know about him, or if I had even heard his name with the LDS Church. And I said no. He replied, I'm actually a big deal. Of course you are. And I said, oh yeah, tell me why. Then he started to tell me he had written quite a few books on the new and everlasting covenant. He said that he is good friends with many apostles, including Elder Ballard, and that he knows President Trump personally. He started telling me a lot more about what OUR does. He asked me how I felt about it. I told him I was very impressed, and it's a very noble cause, and I really admired him and what he was doing. He then asked if I ever wanted to be involved in a cause like that, and I said, of course. He asked what positions I would like to be involved in, and I said, I don't know. I've never thought about it, but it sounds amazing. He then asked me how I would feel about going on an operation with him. I asked him what he meant. That's when he started telling me about a couple's ruse. Tim said that the way they had been getting intel on ops had worked for a while, but it wasn't working anymore. So they had started realizing what was happening, and they needed a new tactic. Tim said he had been praying about it, and he came up with the couple's ruse, and that it had been sanctioned by Elder Ballard, and that God told him to do it. He said it was, he said that it was a difficult job. We had to act like a couple, and we had to be very sexual with one another, but it was all for the benefit of saving the children. Of course it is. It's always about saving the children. He said that God knew our hearts and our souls and what we were wanting to accomplish, which was to only help the children. He asked me how I felt about it, and if I thought I could do anything like that. I felt special that he was asking me. I felt important to be asked to do such amazing, important work. I said, of course I would want to do that. He then began telling me that his last operator, who was his partner, had fallen in love with him. And before any lines were ever crossed, she had told him she was in love with him and decided to quit. He said he was about to do interviews with 20 different women to be his new partner. But if I was willing to train for a little bit and see if it worked out, he would like me to be his new partner. He said he already felt very comfortable with me. I told him, yes, that sounds amazing. He asked when he could meet with me so I could sign an NDA. I said, anytime, let's figure it out. And he said, how about tonight? I said, okay. At that point, I told him I was a single mom. He knew that I had my kids that weekend. He asked if he could come over with one of his partners after my kids went to bed and I could sign an NDA.
Gifted Becky_Manzo a subscription. An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Becky_Manzo.
Thank you for the gifted sub. Because he probably shouldn't have told me any of that before having me sign anything. I said, absolutely. He asked me if I wanted to go on one of his to one of his showings of his movie premiere that was next Monday morning. I said yes. He ended up wanting me to tone his hair a little darker. Catherine still thought it was a little bit too light. So we were trying to figure that out a time when we could tone it a little darker as well. We decided not to sign the contract that night. We would do it when we fixed his hair. CL was actually going to train as an operator as well. She and Matt Cooper were going to be partners. CL and Matt were going to come over to my home, and CL and I were going to sign our NDAs. That night, we were all going to talk and run some scenarios. And Tim and Matt would explain some more in detail what it would be like on operations. We talked about how we would have to start training one-on-one and hanging out so we could get really comfortable with each other and we could know each other. We could know how each other works. We would even need to get to know our normal personalities. Like if we were sitting down with me putting my leg over his leg, things like that, and holding hands. Tim said we really needed to get to know each other on a personal level so that we could trust one another. Tim talked a lot about how we needed to trust each other. He said we would be put in dangerous situations the more we really knew about how each other worked, about how each other worked, then if we had to save one another, we could trust that would happen. I don't know. The way she fucking, I can't read the way she fucking types. I don't know, it's bothering me. He started slowly touching my hand and slowly touching my leg, slowly rubbing my back. And I just kept going along with it because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get really, really comfortable with each other, especially physical. CL, Matt, Tim, and I hung out for a little bit. And CL and I signed the contracts and they left. Tim and I continued texting every day, just still getting to know each other by talking on the phone. He asked me if I wanted to go to a gala with that was coming up for his company, and I said yes. So he got CL and me tickets to that. At this point, we had only seen each other those 2 times, but we had been talking and were planning to get together with Matt, Cooper, and CL again at my house one night when I didn't have the kids, so we could just all kind of hang out and talk and get more comfortable with each other. We got together, me, CL, Matt, and Tim. We were hanging out. We actually played some games, and we were trying to all act like couples. It was very strange, but that's quote unquote what you're supposed to be doing. Tim started kissing my neck and my forehead and grabbing my butt. He kept telling me this is what we have to do so that we're comfortable with one another. So I think this is probably when the clubs were too hot and people were spotting him and calling him out, like being at strip clubs and giving his son pills and shit. So now he's just doing it in people's house, like a couple's night. He kept telling me this is what we have to do so that we are comfortable with one another. However, Matt Cooper wasn't doing this to CL. They wouldn't touch each other's backs. They would touch each other's backs, and she had her leg over his, but that was the extent of it. I asked why they were being so I asked why they weren't being so handsy. Tim said we would be the ones who were really communicating with the traffickers. We're the ones who are really in there. Well, CL and Matt and Tim and I are sitting there, and they start talking about how we need to do self-defense training. They also said we need to do a training where we go on fake ops. What we will be doing is we will be going to some bars and or strip clubs. We said, okay, that's all we really talked about at that point. CL needed to go, so we kind of set a date for that, and then we very quickly moved on because she had to leave. Tim asked Matt if he would go hang out in another room so he and I could just get more comfortable and talk more one-on-one. Just talk more about our lives and get a little more personal. Yes, I did think it was a little strange, but Matt Cooper didn't think it was weird. All these people that you think are like authority figures, and nobody's standing up. Nobody's saying no. Nobody's saying that's too much. You're married. She's a single mom. You're already getting handsy. You probably shouldn't be alone. Even if he wasn't planning on doing anything, this is why I'll never be alone with a woman in a room for any amount of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because this is how accusations and rumors and shit start, even if he wasn't a creep. But, like, Cooper knows he's a fucking disgusting creep and still lets it happen. But Matt Cooper didn't think it was weird. And therefore, again, I'm trusting this process. We sit on my couch. Tim pulls me in really close. He starts rubbing my arms. He puts his face on my neck. He started kissing my neck, pulled down my shirt on my shoulder and started kissing my shoulder. And I said, wait, aren't we supposed to be talking and getting to know each other more personally? And he said, yeah, this is what we're doing. Why don't you talk? So I started asking him questions. I think because I felt so uncomfortable that he was being physical. I started asking him about his wife, Catherine. I asked him, what does she know about this? And he said, not much. I asked him, what do you mean? And he said, not much. And that she didn't want to know. So she knew, she just didn't want to know. Again, I think Catherine's just as guilty as fucking Tim is. And all these people on the board and Cooper and all these people that protected him, all of them should go down. What do you mean? And he said, not much, that she didn't want to know. I was a little bit shocked. I said, what do you mean she doesn't want to know? He said, she doesn't want to know the details. She trusts me. She knows that this is a calling from God. She knows that this is what needs to happen. And she knows that I'm the man for the job. I asked, if she trusts you, then why does she not want to know what is going on? He said, well, she knows to a point. She doesn't want to know the details about things that I have to do with the women. And she doesn't want to know about the gross things that we have to say with sex traffickers and do with my partners, which brought me to more questions. So I started asking him, well, what do you have to do with your other partners? He proceeded to tell me that he has had to shower naked with them. He has been in massages before where they have to grind naked and act like they were having sex. He has had to pretend that he is fingering someone while they were at a bar. He has had to have somebody rub him over his pants on his genital areas, things like that. And I was a little bit shocked, and he kept just saying to me, do you now see what I'm saying? This is a very, very hard job. Very, very hard. But it really is a calling from God, because somebody has to do it. And if somebody has to do it, I know that I can do it. And I have the Spirit with me while I do it. And I said, I'm not sure if I can do that. That seems very hard for me. He said, you will. Once you understand and you see the good and the kids, you will get there. He told me that a line has never been crossed with him and a partner before, and that I can feel safe with him. He then began to tell me the first time I met Tim and Catherine, she later told him that she had a strong feeling I should be his partner. So once again, I was feeling very uneasy. But I was also thinking in my mind that this situation is a very uneasy situation, but that I'm going to trust this process. At this point, Matt comes downstairs and Tim gives me a hug and they leave. In the meantime, Tim and I kept texting. He wanted us to build a narrative of what we would say our relationship was when we were undercover. He just kept saying we need to build our legacy. What's our story? He wanted to make sure we were talking or texting so that we could stay close and he could answer any questions I had, no matter how awkward it may seem. We plan to do an op training for October 28th. That was a Thursday, I believe. And we were going to do the self-defense training in the morning. That night, we were going to do the op training. He wanted to come over one more time before the training. He wanted me to practice putting on tattoos for him, to talk about outfits and what kind of roles we wanted to play together as a couple. He wanted to look up outfits that we would want to wear as a couple. He kept talking about how I needed to dress slutty. He said, we can look up outfits for you. And he told me multiple times that I need to hurry and pretend to fall in love with him. He would tease me about how he thought it was funny how embarrassed I would get when he would touch me or do anything physical. Sorry, I had to fix my brace. Tim and Matt came over the night before the training exercise. They just kind of hung out. I honestly was not quite sure if this is how the hangout was supposed to go. They just kept saying they loved hanging out with me. And if I'm being honest, I enjoyed hanging out with them. I felt like it was part of the I was part of the cause. I was really changing people. They told me lots of stories about operations they had been on. It was great to hear. I felt a part of something that was amazing. Every once in a while, Tim would come over and sit by me. Hold on just a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to fix my damn brace. He would whisper in my ear, why aren't you kissing my neck? Don't you want to do that? I would sort of laugh and play it off as a joke. Tim didn't bring the tattoos for me to practice on him. He said he forgot them. We looked up outfits that we would like to wear as a couple when we would be out. They were getting ready to leave, and Tim asked Matt to go out to the car and wait for him. I immediately got nervous. Matt walked to the car. Tim shut the door, and he said, I need you to kiss my neck a little bit. I need you to be able to grab my ass. I need this to work both ways so we don't get ourselves in a bad situation. We were standing by my front door. I put my arms around his neck, and I started kissing his neck. He told me again, I need you to grab my ass. When I hesitated, he then turned around and pushed me up against the door and started trying to grind up on me. I could tell that he was hard, so I pushed him away. I snapped at him and said, Tim. He said, this is what I wanted to show you. This is what I'm talking about. And sometimes this happens. Damn. And it's going to naturally happen. I just want you to be aware of that. I think I said okay. I was in a little bit of shock. Luckily, Matt knocked on the door. I heard and opened it, and he went to walk out the door and said, you still need to learn how to smack my ass. So I patted it as he walked by me. He said, don't ever pat my ass again. What a fucking... You still need to pat my ass. Whack. Don't ever pat my ass, you stupid slut. This dude's got all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. When he left, I felt very conflicted. I wasn't sure if that's how you should be feeling, if that is what it was supposed to feel like when they were saying this is a hard job and somebody has to do it. Mariah, is the awning still out? We might need to put it up. Somebody said there's storms coming tonight. Or I can do it when I get home if it's not bad. I kept returning my mind to the stories that they were telling me about the operations they had been on. Yeah, I can hear the rain right now. It must be raining like hell. And how amazing it sounded. And I kept telling myself, this is why it has to be worth it. So Thursday morning came around, which is October 28th. This is when we were going to the gym to do self-defense training class. Tim, of course, is texting me in the morning and telling me he's so sorry for staying too late the night before. He was kind of giving me a little rundown about what time we were going to meet that night. Tim asked me what I was going to wear because we never ended up talking about what we were going to wear when we were at the gym. We were going to make a list of things that I needed to get together for that night so that I could do makeup and tattoos and stuff for his hair. So then he asked me, are you feeling okay? I didn't respond. He just kept trying to say it's okay, and we should be over-communicating at this point and telling each other everything. That's what saves our asses and things like that. At this point, I'm feeling so uncomfortable about what happened the night before with him pushing me up against the door. I asked him what I could talk to CL about, and he told me nothing. He said, but we can talk at the gym. So we go to the gym. We got to the gym. Nobody was there yet. Yeah, but you're going to fall asleep. Just roll it up. Everyone was kind of running late, so as soon as CL arrived, I jumped in the car with her. We just started talking about how we are excited to do the self-defense class and how we were both really nervous to go to strip clubs. We were joking about what we'd wear to the strip clubs. We don't know what to wear to strip clubs because we are moms. We don't know how to dress slutty. We don't go out. We're boring moms. I wanted to talk to her so bad, but I just felt like a little scared to say anything. At this point, Tim was really pushing me to get a passport. He was telling me that in a couple of weeks they have an op that he really wanted me to go on with him. And because I don't have a passport, we needed to get it expedited. So when you apply for a passport, you can pay a little bit extra and it expedited. I don't know how much faster it is than normal, but they expedite it. If you have like a diplomatic emergency or something, you can legitimately get it pushed to the front of the line. But when you pay the extra money, I don't know how much faster it is or not. At the gym, he told me that I really needed to talk to Matt Cooper about it. Everyone finally got there. It was Matt Cooper, CL, Tim, Blaine, Tim's son, who had just gotten home from a mission a week or two before, and a girl named DM. We found out that D was going to be on the ops with us that night that we started doing the training. Dee told us that she had just barely gotten a divorce, and she told us about her husband, I think, who had previously been in the military, so she kind of knew some self-defense. As we started learning some self-defense techniques, Tim was taking us aside one by one to sign our NDAs. He did take Dee back in the offices, I believe, for a minute. Then he took me back there. I'm not sure if he took CL back there or not. He took Dee back first. Then when it was my turn, the first thing he said to me was that Dee had just asked him if she could be his partner. And he said, what do you think about that? I said, do you want her to be your partner? He's got to get them against each other. And he said, no, I want to be your partner. I told him I could be whoever's partner he needed me to be. He then asked me, oh, aren't you jealous? I said, wait, what? Am I supposed to be jealous? He was like, yeah, you're supposed to be jealous. It's a privilege to be my partner. And I was like, oh, yes, I'm so jealous, in a joking tone. He didn't find it funny. We talked more about it. He started bringing a spiritual side into it. By the end of the conversation, I did feel privileged to be his partner. I felt blessed later. Later, we finished our self-defense training. We signed new NDA contracts. Again, I never got a copy of the NDA. We left to go home and get ready. When I got to my car, I just had a sick feeling, so I asked him to call me. He called, and I told him, I don't know, I'm getting really nervous. So he once again told me that he just felt so sure that I needed to be his partner. He said that even that morning, he had a dream the night before about some really amazing things that we did to save some children. So he confirmed that it was just nerves and that I could trust him and everything was going to be good. He then again called me and he said, hey, I think just you and I are going to leave your house. We're not going to leave the gym. which is originally where we were all going to leave from. Tim was like, I think we just need to make sure you're okay before we meet up with everyone. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so nice. He said, we'll Uber from your house. When he got to my house, he was with his son and Matt Cooper, the same son who was at the training, Blaine. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, this is not going to be okay. Blaine cannot come on the mission with us. They all reassured me that Blaine could be included and that he would not be going in any bars or any strip clubs. Rather, Blaine was going to be on the outside. Blaine would just do things with the phones and make sure we were all where we needed to be, those types of things, and that I didn't need to worry about that. I just felt like it would have been very strange that I was there pretending to be a couple with his dad. I didn't want him to have that image in his mind, nor did I feel comfortable with Tim's son, who had just returned home for a mission, being in a strip club. I don't know how old Blaine is at this time. Hold on, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find his son's age. I mean, he's basically an adult, but was he an adult at the time? Apparently, a lot of people are searching it because it's one of the recommended searches on Google. He was 18 in 2019. Okay, so he's definitely an adult here because we're talking like 2021. So he's maybe 20 in some of these, maybe 21, somewhere around there. He graduated in 2019. I'm looking at his Max Preps shit. Was he any good?
Leroy Sané. Pushed away by David Raya. Danger is still there.
This is an ad, by the way, I think.
And the free.
From CBS Sports.
You seek the key, but you must first learn the discipline.
Oh my God, just skip it. Whatever's going on here, just skip it.
Unlock the energy within.
All right, here we go. I think this is him down here at the bottom. This is from his highlights. Or maybe that's him at the top. Maybe he's on the white team. Okay, yeah, it's circling him. Got a touchdown right there between the free safety and his cornerback. That wasn't bad. It was a good ball, though, to be honest with you. Ooh, that cutback was nice. Not bad. Run a little out. Little spin move. Oh, he got another 4 or 5 yards. Dangerous, but he got it. In. Ooh, a little hitch on it. That's not bad. All the way over here. The out route. To the sticks, baby. Oh, just on a go and the shove. Okay, that's the same one we just saw, but from a different angle. So it doesn't seem like he's bad. There you go. He's a decent footballer. And in this time, he should be 20, maybe 21. So they get everything ready. All the phones are ready. Everything connected. Those phones, OUR phones, can only connect with people who have one of those phones. They gave us a phone, and then they left. Tim was like, okay, well, now we have to be in character because the second you get off a plane in another country, you're in character. Anyone can be a spy. From the cab driver to every single person at the hotel, like everyone is working for the sex traffickers. This is another common theme with these crazy people and these people that think 8 million kids are trafficked every day or whatever, and the QAnon people, is they think there's a sex trafficker behind every bush. But they'll never look in their own neighborhood because they're all, the only ones they really believe in or the high-profile Democrats in Washington are hiding behind, underneath your porch and shit. Not every single person works for sex traffickers, okay? Most people are just trying to do their fucking job, making substantially below American minimum wage, and just want to do their job and go fucking home. And not somebody treat them like shit. Anyways. And you have to be in character at all times except for when you're in your hotel room. I was ready for the night, but Tim wanted to go up to my bathroom in my bedroom and put his tattoos on. So we went up and he changed in my bathroom with the door closed. He came out and I put his tattoo on his arm. I think we also put a headband on him. Then we got ready to leave. I think it sounds like Tim doesn't want to be a Mormon. Like he wants all the things that come with him being a Mormon and connected and OUR and shit, but he really just wants to go fucking party. I think our Uber was supposed to be there in 5 minutes. He kind of pushed me back under my bed, and I was like, what are you doing? And he said, I just want to see how far you're willing to go. I was like, whoa, what do you mean? And he said, I want to see how comfortable you can be. You need to be very comfortable with me. I had a long sleeve shirt. I have a long sleeve shirt dress on, and he started kissing my legs, and he lifted up my dress to right underneath where my boobs are. And he kissed my stomach. I kept saying, are you sure? Wait, are you sure? He would say something to the fact like, we might have to do this. Like if we're on a beach, we have to show them that this is who we are and that we're a very sexual couple. And they have to see this and you have to be comfortable. You can't shy away with it and you get very shy. You shy away from this stuff. I would say, okay, I think I could do it if we were in a situation, but in my bedroom, it feels very uncomfortable. And he kept saying, I need you to show me. I need you to show me. But also, his phone kept ringing, which made me feel like everyone was waiting on us or Uber was there. So he turned his phone off at that point. What a disgusting motherfucker. I tried to talk to him and ask him questions so that he would stop for a minute and answer my questions. Then he would start kissing my stomach again and kissing my neck and putting his legs in between my legs, grinding on me. And asking me to kiss his neck, his stomach. Then my phone kept ringing and buzzing, so I pushed him off so I could get on my phone. It was Matt Cooper. He sounded very frustrated. I handed him over to Tim. Tim was like, yeah, it's fine. Everything's just fine. Just get another Uber here. Luckily, the Uber was 5 minutes away. I said I needed to freshen up. Tim told me to remember the second we get in the Uber, we are in character. Well, before we left, I felt as if I had a headache. So I grabbed some ibuprofen out of my drawer before I went to freshen up. Tim asked me if he could have some ibuprofen. I gave him some. And then he also asked if he could have some for the road. I said yes. He also asked if I had some Excedrin. I said yes. So I gave him some Excedrin as well. Then I shut the drawer and went into the bathroom to finish freshening up. When I came back, I noticed my drawer was open. I remember shutting it. I thought that was strange, but I didn't think too much about it. Then we got in the Uber and we started driving there. Of course, he's all over me. He had brought some energy drinks. I noticed that he had put a pill in his mouth and started drinking some energy drinks. It was not the ibuprofen or the Excedrin I'd given him. I asked him if he just took a pill, and he said yes. Sometimes I have to take some pills that I was taking for my anxiety. He told me that when he would take that pill with the energy drink, that it would almost make him feel like he had a little bit of a high. I thought that's great, but to each their own. I didn't know what to do. I'm in a car with him, and once again, and everyone's telling me to trust this man. We were sitting in the car. He's telling me that when we are in these situations, we always have to be just very, very sexual. We have to be all over each other, just like groping each other. So he's all over me. He even spreads my legs in the car and put his hand right there on my thigh. And he's like, oh, I just love these legs. And he's like grabbing them and just being very grungy. We got to the bar strip club. We were the first ones there. We went inside and we sat at a table. And Tim told me that I just need to be all over him. He said I need to give him lap dances. He also said that I need to talk to the women when they come over and ask them questions and tell them to dance for us. And tell them they look nice. And ask them what time they get off. Questions like that. He would give me assignments, like I needed to go talk to the owner and ask him how long he's owned the place and talk to certain strippers and ask them how they started and just ask all these questions so that I could get comfortable talking to these types of people. Then he got us a private room with a stripper. I was completely mortified. We went back to this private room. At this point, Matt Cooper, DM, and CL show up. They needed to pretend that they didn't know us. They just walked by us. They sat down, and I could see they were talking to people. I'm not quite sure what else happened. I just remember being back in this room with a stripper's boobs and butt in my face. Tim had me sit on his lap, so pretty much she was giving me a lap dance with no shirt on and wearing a thong, shaking her butt in my face, rubbing her boobs all over me. And finally, I was like, okay, thank you so much. This was great. Like, we're done. And she was like, we have 5 more minutes. And I just said, thank you. This is amazing. But now I need to go fuck my man, because that was our safe word. I could not be in there anymore. I had to leave. So we left the strip club, and Tim said, I'm sorry. Was that too much? And I said, yes. I just need to breathe. So we walked around the parking lot for a minute. I got some air, and he said, okay, do you think we're good? And I said, yeah, I think I'm okay. And he said, okay, we're going to go somewhere else. I'm trying to prepare myself, and I'm telling myself that I think I can do this. Telling myself how amazing it will be if I can actually pull this off and help all these kids, and what that will feel like. Telling myself that somebody has to do this hard job and I can do it. I need to be a bigger part. This is crazy. He's got them so twisted. Like they're socking themselves up to be fucking sexually assaulted by him. Telling myself somebody has to do this job and I can do it. I need to be a bigger person than what I was being in that moment, because that is what Tim is telling me, and I'm believing in him. So we pull up to the next strip club. At this one, we walk in together. We all walk in together. There's a lot more people here, and this one is dirty, gross, and vile. Most of the women do not have their shirts on, and they have little to no underwear on. I'm feeling sick to my stomach. I wanted to cry, so I excused myself. I went to the bathroom. I want to take Mariah to a strip club. I was in a stall. It was disgusting. I didn't even dare to pee. I just leaned my head over because I didn't want to mess up my makeup, and I let the tears fall to the ground because I didn't want to mess up my makeup. I was trying to keep it together, but this was so hard for me. I pulled it together as much as I could. I didn't have my phone. We weren't allowed to have our phones, so I just really trying hard to be okay. I washed my hands, and I went out, and I noticed that Tim had his arm around DM. CL is sitting in a booth with Matt Cooper. Tim walked over to me and asked if I was okay. I said, yep. He was like, okay, come with me. And we start dancing, and he takes me into this room. He whispered in my ear, are you okay? And I just nodded, and he said, okay. We're in this little room by ourselves. There's a curtain, and a woman opened it. And she asked us if we wanted someone to come dance for us. Tim told them that I was going to dance for him, so he told me that I needed to give him a lap dance. So I started giving him a lap dance. The next thing I knew, his son opened the curtain, and I'm staring him straight in the face. He is watching me give his dad a lap dance. I lost it. I came unglued. Blaine, Tim's son, turned around and said, sorry, and walked away. I told Tim I was done. I freaked out. I told him we're all done. We are all leaving. This night is over. I told Tim that he lied to me when he told me that this would not happen. They all promised me. When I walked out of that room, Blaine was sitting at the bar. He was literally staring at this girl on a pole with her leg up to her head and her vagina sticking out of her thong. Like, in the middle of her vagina. Her vagina is completely hanging out, and he's like a deer in headlights. I grabbed him and told him he needed to leave. Then I went and grabbed Matt, CL, and DM, and I said, we are done. I was so upset. Blaine should not have been in there. At this point, we were leaving. At least you took charge of the situation. I mean, that's better. Scared to death, right? They're scared of their own vaginas, right? So imagine seeing a wall of vaginas. Nobody's got Jesus panties on? I'm freaking out. Whatever, we are all leaving. Oh, sorry. At this point, we were leaving. I had never seen this older gentleman, but he is clearly a part of OUR and the team. He came up and apologized to me. I just said, whatever. We are all leaving. We were all outside. Tim went over and talked to Blaine for a minute. Then mine and Tim's Uber came. We all got back into our cars and met back at the gym in Draper. I just remember walking into the gym. I walked right up to Blaine and asked him if his mom knew where he was that night. He said, she knows I'm here with my dad. I started asking him a question about his mother's knowledge about the events that were taking place that evening. For example, so what does she think you're doing? He said, well, she thinks that I'm just helping with the training. Does she know that you're going to strip clubs? And he said, no. I asked, would she be okay with you going to strip clubs? He said, no. Earlier that night, When he was at my house helping with the phones, he also told me that he has a girlfriend and that she had waited for him while he was on his mission. I asked, how do you think your girlfriend would feel about you being here? Feel with you being here? He answered, not okay. I said, there's your answer. You should have not been here tonight. Yeah, all of this is in Utah. This is their practice missions. Most of these happen in Utah, except for the first one that we were talking about. The first one was like the stuff in Mexico, but the rest of these are all in Utah. He replied, it's okay, it's okay. I've known about this, and I've been training for this my whole life. I stated how I felt about this decision. You really should think about getting a different job. If you want to do this, do a different part of it. So we all huddled up. I stood in the corner because I was so appalled about what had just taken place. Everyone kept coming up to me and apologizing, saying things like, we're so sorry. It was really awkward and uncomfortable situation. I got a message from Tim the next morning at 6:52 a.m. that said, you were fantastic. I really do want to keep working with you. We will work out the emotions and tactics. And so many things will revolve around ops. Let's talk very soon. We ended up talking on the phone a lot that day. We started talking a lot about personal things, things I consider spiritual to me. My dad had been diagnosed with a brain tumor about 1.5 years before that, and it was terminal. I was really struggling with my spirituality and God at that time. My dad had a brain tumor and was dying. I confided in Tim about that. I confided in him that I had depression and anxiety. He confided in me that night that he had been having a major meltdown. He mentioned a complete meltdown that he had had in front of his family, friends, his wife, his kids. He continued telling me that he had not done operations for a while because of the meltdown. He said that after seeing how I reacted, trying to protect Blaine and him on the night of the training at the strip club, that he felt even stronger towards the idea that I was supposed to be his partner. Oh, you did such a good job with my son. You should definitely be my partner. We're taking Mariah to a strip club and streaming it. Tim said he felt safe with me and the idea of me protecting him on ops. He said he wanted to know that he really does. He wanted me to know that he really does care about me and that he thinks that this is going to be a really great relationship. He stated in conversation that I was his drug provider, his waxer, his hairstylist, his massage therapist. The texting conversation was going late into the night, which made me question if it was being respectful to his family and his wife. I would turn the conversation around towards thoughts of his wife. I made comments like, go to bed, go make love to your wife, go do something for your wife, go do something for your kids. I would try to turn the conversation around to get him, not if you're tied down or strapped to a chair. I would try to turn the conversation around to get him to focus on his family. I could tell he was relying on me heavily for his mental stability at that point. Right before the gala, around the end of October, he came over and told me that he was feeling a little unsettled and that he wanted to talk to me about some things. He just kept talking to me about how safe he felt with me. He commented about how he could talk to me about anything, how he wanted to tell me his deepest, darkest secrets. He said that he felt like he could relate to me and rely on me. He told me how I was the only one right now that he could talk to and safe with. He said to me, please don't come after me. I don't want to sue you. If you mention our conversation to the public, you will have your 15 minutes of fame, but it wouldn't be good for you. It would look like we were having an affair. You would just look bad. I asked him why he would say that, and he would just say, everyone that I love turns on me. Everyone that I love makes up stories about me. He talked about his former partners to me and how they had fallen in love with him. I was not attracted to him in that way. I felt this would be easy because I was not physically attracted to Tim. He had come over a few times and we had similar conversations. We talked more about the operator D, who was having the training opt at the strip club. He told me that when we were out that night, that she had made him very uncomfortable and she kept saying, I should be your operator. I should be with you. Tim said that even at the end of the night, he kept telling her, you should date my son, just to show her that he was not interested in her and that he didn't want her to be his operator. He also told me about his previous partner, DS. He said that they had worked so well together, but she just could not help but fall in love with him and that she was so in love with him. Tim said that she had tried kissing him. They still remained friends, Tim said that sex was different for them. Tim said that sex was difficult for them. She didn't like to be naked or be waxed because she felt he would just picture little girls' vaginas. What? Seems like a strange thing to say. He also told me to read his book. It was called Visions of Glory. Tim said that he had met with the man who wrote it before he had died. His name was Tom Harrison, and Tom had told him lots of visions that he had had that actually had Tim in his visions. He said Tom Harrison had visions that Tim would be the prophet of the LDS church one day and that he would be the president of the United States. Tim told me that he also had another psychic friend, one here in Utah, and that she would tell him things like who his partner should be. She would tell him a lot of times where he could find the children and where the sex traffickers were. Tim told me that that is where he would often get a lot of his information from. Tim had been going to California where he was doing shows on PragerU. Tim was telling me that they wanted him to start hosting his own show. Tim said that while he was there, he had met with this lady who had done tantric on him. He said they got naked together. Brian, did you roll up the awning? It's getting bad. Roll it up. I don't care if you're watching it. Just roll it up. You're not going to be able to watch the first wind gust that comes. You'll see it too late. Tim said Tim said she didn't touch him, but she did sit behind him, and she would do these tantric exercises on him. Tim said that by performing these tantric exercises, it would release all the bad juju in him. He mentioned at the end of these exercises, he would have an orgasm, and that he would get such good relief. He would say that he felt that it was okay because they weren't touching. He felt the need to express to me that he wasn't attracted to her. He told me she was an old woman, not attractive, but it gave him an orgasm and release to get gross toxins out of his body. He asked me if I should feel bad, if he should feel bad about his actions with his tantric exercise. I asked him if Catherine knew about his trips to California engaged in these exercises. He replied, telling me she didn't know. I said, then maybe it's something you should not be doing. You should have a conversation with her. I mentioned if you don't feel comfortable talking with your wife about this, then maybe it's something you shouldn't be participating in at all. I thought it was the strangest thing. He kept saying, oh my gosh, you should try stuff like this. You should do stuff like this. I told him I was not interested in that. I told him about this show called The Goop Lab with Gwyneth Paltrow, and that they talked a lot about things like sex and being in your mind and all these things. I told him that I thought he should sit down and watch it with his wife, and that maybe it could help because he would always try to talk about his sex life about Catherine with me. I didn't feel comfortable with this conversation. He said he and Catherine couldn't talk about it openly. I heard a lot about this show, so I told him to watch it with her. This was the point in the conversation that he brought up the tantric therapy. Then we had the gala, and he put me and CL in the very front row of the gala. He sat us at a table with Matt Osborne and Dean Morgan. I sat next to Dean and DS, the female operator that Tim had mentioned in a previous conversation. DS was with her date as well. It felt very strange because automatically CL and I went to sit by each other. Matt O and Dean split us up. Matt saw CL across the table from me, and he sat right next to her. And Dean sat right next to me. We both looked at each other, even texted one another about what was happening. This action with the setting arrangement was very strange and uncomfortable. Dean started talking to me and asked me questions about my life and how I was liking training with Tim, and if I liked being his partner and things of that sort. He asked me what sort of trainings we were doing, and I started feeling like I was being interrogated with his line of questioning. I felt the need to be very careful about what I was answering. I started dodging his questions. I was feeling very anxious. My thought was about the NDA I signed, stating I can't tell anybody about being an operator, not even anyone else in the company or other operators. I was even wondering if this is a test. I was feeling uneasy. That's why I started dodging his questions. I also had been talking to Tim about telling him that I was feeling very unsure about moving forward. I felt like he was not in a very good place, and I kind of thought at first that he was sitting us right up front to just kind of like woo me and keep me going in this direction. But then I was sitting next to DS, who I felt was also asking me a lot of questions. Questions like, what kind of training have you done? Have you gone out with Tim yet? I asked DS questions. Did you feel it was worth it? Did you feel safe with him? Did you ever feel like you were in awkward situations? You can trust Tim with your life. Tim would never put you in a situation that you could not get out of. He would put his life in front of yours. He promised to always keep me safe. At some point, she said, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. He would never do anything that he is not supposed to do. I said, okay. And in that capacity, it made me think I was safe and I could move forward. She talked about how it would be worth it to save the children and how important it would make me feel. That I would feel like I was doing so much good for the cause. It gave me courage that I could keep going. As the gala was wrapping up, I ran into Tim's wife. I'd only met her one time before when I did Tim's hair. I stopped her because Tim said that she felt like I should be his operator, so I wanted to talk to her. I said, hi, do you remember me? I met you when I did Tim's hair. She seemed very uncomfortable with me. She did not seem to know that I was the operator for Tim. I found this very odd after Tim had told me he told Catherine. She said, oh, are you still doing Tim's hair? I mentioned that I still was. I figured she didn't mention me being an operator with Tim because everything is so hush-hush. I ran into CL, Dean, and Matt Osborne in the hall. They started questioning me, and CL picking up on what I felt was the interrogation. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. The questioning made me feel very uncomfortable. She told them that we had done self-defense. They told us, just so you ladies know, if Tim ever asks you to the strip clubs, that is not something you should be doing. If you're ever put in a situation that you feel uncomfortable with, you need to let us know right away. We have very different opinions on how things should be ran. If you are ever in any of those situations, give us a call. Matt Osborne gave us his card. A couple weeks before, we had been in strip clubs with Tim, so this conversation was very uncomfortable for me. CL and I left the gala and got into her car to go home. We automatically turned our phones off, so we felt safe to talk openly. Before this night, I had not told her how uncomfortable I'd been with Tim. I showed her some of the text messages with him. We talked about how the gala felt very uncomfortable and how some things with Tim were inappropriate, and that he should not be going on ops. CL and I were feeling confused about the things we were being told and the actions that were actually happening. So one of the guys that went to the strip club with him is like, hey, that's not appropriate. You shouldn't be doing that. That motherfucker was there. Tim texted me to ask about the gala. I told him about the conversation with Matt Osborne, Dean, and DS. He ended up calling me. I told him that he gives me rules that I cannot talk about being an operator with anyone. That gets confusing because not only did DS know that I was his operator and was talking openly about it with her date right next to me, but so did Matt O and Dean. I understand that Matt O and Dean work there, but we were in public. For safety reasons, I was told we weren't supposed to talk about it. I told him I was shocked that DS knew that I was his operator in the first place. When was asking me questions, I felt that she knew personal things about me. So I just said to him, I feel like you apply these rules to me. I can't talk to anyone, but you and anyone you tell can talk about it openly wherever you or they please. I then told him about the conversation they had with CL and I in the hall. He told me that he was sorry he put me in that situation and that the training program was new, that this training program is new, that he and Matt O weren't on the same page yet, but he is the boss. He is the head of the company, and he will do whatever he wants. Things changed after the gala. The ops that we were supposed to be going on kept changing dates. It moved to January, then it was moved to February. I started feeling very unsure about why the dates kept changing. Tim would only want to train one-on-one. CL and I had talked some more. I told her how I was feeling. Tim wanted to talk. I told him we should coordinate with Matt, Cooper, CL about ops training. I would feel more comfortable if we were all together. Tim wanted to be waxed before, and he said he didn't want CL to know that he gets waxed. He was embarrassed and asked me if when we met all together, if I could do that before or after. I had him come over a little before so we could wax his face really quickly. That way, he couldn't stay after for a longer period of time. When Matt and CL arrived, we talked about how we were going to start doing trainings and start doing ops in the spring. He and I had been talking on the phone. You can tell that Matt knows because Matt is always a person who comes in and like checks on him or opens the office door and is like, hey, I need to sit talk to you. Or comes back and knocks on the door after he's waiting in the car. He knows what Tim's doing. And he's trying to sort of run interference, but also protect him. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. He and I had been talking on the phone a couple times during the week. I didn't really want to talk to him about his personal life. I was trying to separate it out of our friend relationship. I had mentioned to him about how I felt Catherine did not know that I was his operator. He told me that he and Catherine talked about it in the temple. She did know, and she also had been telling him she wanted me to be her hairdresser. I started just feeling like this was not okay. I wasn't feeling comfortable with any of it. Sometime in the middle of December, he started telling me that he was not going to do ops anymore and that he was going to run projects from home. He wanted me to still do operations, so he would pick some other operators for me to work with. Matt C and CL weren't really vibing, so I asked if I could be Matt's partner. That didn't make him happy. He became jealous and frustrated with me and asked about Matt C. He wanted to be the one who picked who I would be partnered with. He started becoming paranoid. He was so worried that I had talked to CL and told her that I had felt uncomfortable. He told me multiple times that if I wanted 15 minutes of fame, I could say something to someone. I could tell the tabloids, but my fame would be short-lived and that would be a bad look for me. That it would look bad for me. He reminded me that I signed a contract, that he could sue me. He was worried about all the personal things he had told me that would come out to the public. He brought up a few times that he had been under investigation by the FBI. It had been over a year, and they still hadn't found one thing. He said evil people are after him constantly because of all the good he does. I started feeling guilty for thinking he had crossed the line with me. I felt guilty for telling CL and showing her the text. He was telling me how grateful he was for me, that he could share with me his feelings. He would tell me stories about family members and friends that he would tell personal things to. He talked about how they would turn on him for fame. It was his own family that turned him into the FBI. He talked about how he wanted me in his life, but was so worried that I would turn on him like others has. He was so worried I would tell people things he had told me. He asked me if we could get together. He just needed a friend. He was worried about our boundaries since we weren't doing ops anymore. I told him I wasn't worried about that. I wanted to introduce him to one of my married friends. He had been talking to BC as well. I told my friend that I knew Tim Ballard and that I did his hair, and I would ask him personally. I brought it up to Tim and said this would be a perfect time to get together. He agreed. This is all through text message. I kept pushing to get together with him for my friend because he really did want to get a job and meet with him. Anytime I would bring it up, he would push it off but want to get together for something else. Tim was telling me about how he was still getting depressed. He kept wanting me to wax his chest and legs. He asked me to do it at my house to make it more professional but still keep it private for him. I asked him to meet me at my sister's studio, redacted. Cooper came with him, and he got waxed. When we were done, he went to hug me, and he put his head in my neck and kissed my neck. I said, "What are you doing?" He apologized about it. He said, "We're just friends." I said, "Correct." Then they left. I was still talking to him, giving my friend an interview. I was still talking to him, about giving my friend an interview. I had been telling Redacted that I did not think it was a good idea for him to be involved in OUR. He wanted to be an operator. I didn't think his marriage would survive it. I told Tim my concerns. Tim said they did have other options and could probably get him a different job there. Tim and Matt arrived. Tim appeared off when he first arrived at my house. They were only there for 5 minutes before Redacted got there. Redacted showed up. Tim started telling Redacted that if he wanted to be an operator, that it's a crazy job. He started being very vulgar, talking about things they have to say to the sex traffickers in order to get them to believe that they are there to buy children. Tim was getting in a role as if he was talking with a trafficker. He was saying horrible, awful things about things he would want to do to kids. Still in character. Tim's face changed. His demeanor changed. He was showing Redacted that that's what it would look like. He became vulgar, and I didn't recognize him. Right then, Redacted left. Tim started freaking out. He was opening my cupboards and slamming them. I looked at Matt Cooper, and he asked me to go upstairs for a minute. I went upstairs, but I could hear Tim yelling. I shut my bedroom door. I was honestly afraid. Tim was yelling. I could hear doors slamming and my cupboards opening and shutting again. I came back down a little bit later when Matt told me I could, and he said he was fine, but they were going to leave. In the beginning of January, I was having some issues with my ex-husband about my kids. Tim was acting like he was being protective of me by telling me that he was really close with police force in Salt Lake City and Utah County. If I ever needed any help, to call Matt C because they especially know the sheriffs in Eagle Mountain. I thought it was extreme, but so nice of him to make sure that if my kids or I needed to be protected, that he could help. On January 7th, he was really wanting to make sure I knew I was protected. He said he felt worried because he was going to go out of town and really wanted to make sure I had a plan with Matt C to make sure I could be protected. He was annoyed that I hadn't called Matt to make a plan yet. Later on the evening of January 7th, 2022, Tim came over to my house. He came over because he needed me to cut his hair. He was going on vacation with his family. He was really nervous about going and being away for that long. He said he had just done some intense therapy with the military. He was hoping that he would be good mentally. When he arrived at my house, he seemed very intense and out of sorts. He was pacing in my living room floor. He looked stressed out. He was a little red in the face and was breathing heavily, like he was having a panic attack. I told him to sit down. He sat on my couch. We continued some of our conversation from earlier through talking on the phone and through text. He was particularly upset that I asked him if Matt Cooper could be my ops partner. It was something he wasn't letting go. I told him just to breathe. He started calming down and I gave him a hug. When I did that, he pulled me in closer and nuzzled his head in my neck and started kissing my neck. I felt like he was in a delicate state, so I was trying to be careful. I told him, Tim, you're okay. He said, no, this is what I want. I said, it's not what you want. I stood up and sat on the couch opposite of him. He came over and kneeled in front of me and asked me if I believed if we came back reincarnated as other people in different lifetimes. I told him that I never thought about that before. He told me he believed in that. He said he believed that he and I had been married in a different life. He said that is why he was so physically attracted to me and emotionally attracted to me. He asked me if Catherine ever died or if they were to ever get a divorce, did I think he and I would get married? I really wasn't saying anything. I was shocked and nervous about what he was saying to me. In the emotional state he was in, I asked him what she's just scared that he's going to fucking start slamming the cupboards and then stomp her fucking brains out. In the emotional state he was in, I asked him if he was going on, I asked him what was going on and what was going through his head. He was still kneeling in front of me and he pulled me close to hug with me with his head in my chest. And he put his hands underneath my shirt on my back and started pulling up my shirt from the backside. About a month before that, I had breast implants. I was still weak. I said, Tim, that hurts. He said, I'll be careful. I was feeling very uncomfortable. I did not want him to hurt me. I was really nervous about the situation for many reasons. He still had his hands underneath my shirt and pulled it off the top of my head. He said, I just want to see. At that point, he unclipped the back of my bra. I was trying to get up off the couch, and I told him that it was hurting me. I wanted to get up, but he stood up over me. Finally had a chance to stand up because he was taking his shirt off. He grabbed me and pulled me close to him so our skin was touching. He said, I just need to feel you. I just need to be skin to skin. He was rubbing my upper body with his hands, grabbing my breasts. I was terrified. I was trembling. I asked him multiple times to stop. He kept saying to me, just trust me. You can just trust me right now. All I could think was to say, just stop. I tried to ask him what's going on. I was still in disbelief that I was in this situation with him. I said, Tim, this isn't you. He started getting more aggressive. I tried to back away. I was hoping he would put his shirt on. Instead, he started following me. I started walking towards my front door with my shirt and bra off still. I had no idea where he put them. He told me, I know you want me. He took off his vest and started pulling his pants down. I was backing up against my stairs. Before I could even get a few steps up, he grabbed me and pushed himself on top of me so that I was lying with my back against the stairs. With one hand, he held my hands above my head with force. With his other hands, he pulled down my leggings to my knees and calves. I remember so clearly thinking, just squeeze your legs so tight that nothing can happen. I don't remember if his pants were all the way off or just halfway down. His penis was erect. He started grinding on me. I kept squeezing my legs as closed as tight as I could keep them. I was starting to feel my body freezing up. His penis was now rubbing in between my labia. I felt very trapped. I wanted to disappear from this moment. At this point, I start crying, begging him to stop. He moved his hand to put underneath my butt to pull me closer to his penis. He still had one hand underneath my butt, and the other was holding both my hands. I remember him lifting his hips up straight above mine. He then pulled me into him more. This is when his penis penetrated my vagina. I went into shock. I felt like I almost wasn't in my body. I'm not sure why, but I just laid there. I felt like my mind had so many thoughts racing. At this point, my whole body felt numb. I'm not sure how many times he penetrated. I'm not sure how long until I came back into my body. As soon as I was present enough to the hell that was happening to me, I was able to move my arms. I freed them from his grasp and grabbed his face. I grabbed his face. I just begged him to stop. I said so many times, please stop. He stood up, tucked his penis in his pants, zipped his pants up, grabbed his shirt, and walked out my front door. I quickly received a text after he left reminding me to call Matt about getting help with police for my ex. He told me he would be praying for me. God damn. What a fucking piece of shit. I'm praying for you. Then a couple hours later, he must have realized he left his belt at my house. He was very concerned about that. He texted me a couple times and called me. So I just left it on my front porch for him. I started questioning what happened. I started feeling really sick a lot. I was sad a lot. My dad passed away a couple of weeks later. It was too much for me to think about. Anytime it popped in my head, I would just push it away. I was afraid. I refused to think about it until June 2023. It was at the CEO Fight Nights up in Salt Lake. I first saw Blaine, Tim's son. We said hi, and he introduced me to his wife. Then he yells across the table, Dad, look who's here. I could not understand the look of terror when he saw me. He looked mortified. After I saw him, my body wouldn't stop trembling. I was feeling so sick. I had a headache come on really quickly. I ran to the bathroom and started puking. Now I know my body was trying to tell me something was severely wrong. I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks after. Anytime I would try to think about it, I kept having weird flashes, and I would get really sick again. The Sound of Freedom started coming out for his movie. Tim was all over the news. People everywhere were talking about him. What an amazing guy he is. I started remembering things even from our trainings, and I started getting flashes of that night. It wasn't until my friends Blank and Blank, who were friends with BC, who worked at OUR, asked me if I wanted to talk to BC. Blank and Blank told me that a while ago, they told BC some inappropriate things had happened to me with Tim, and that she wanted to talk to me. BC had been talking to some lawyers because inappropriate things had been happening to other women. I just started crying, and I had no idea why. In the next couple of weeks, I looked at BC's numbers. I was afraid to call her. I've known BC for quite a few years. We've ran into each other at different things for our mutual friends, the Blanks. All I know is that my heart and my body were not okay. I had to figure out what I had been hiding from myself. I wasn't sure why. I just knew in my heart that something had happened. My mind wasn't letting me go there. I talked to BC and started telling her what happened. She said, well, you were sexually assaulted. I think I was not even in a normal state of mind as I was talking to her, and she told me that. I got off the phone, and every little thing came back to me. And even then, it took me quite a few days to really understand what happened and where my mind was at the time of the assault. I was thinking about the way I was now looking back on my life ever since I met Tim and seeing what it's done to me. I lost my job at the end of May 2022. I've been really sick on and off. I haven't been able to keep my clients like I previously had done during the 20 years of doing hair. I haven't been functioning on a normal level. I've learned to block things out the last couple years. If I feel scared or threatened, I block it out and pretend everything is fine. I know that I don't want this to happen to other people. Damn. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's full on fucking just blatantly raped her and then left and said, I'm praying for you. I thought a Plan B muffin was too much. At least I don't tell people I'm praying for them. Mariah got so hooked to Plan B muffins, I had to start making them once a week, stocking them in the fridge. Janet voice text. Hi, I feel like I need to listen to Blank's message over and over again, so I'll probably send you a couple of texts. I've already listened to it 3 or 4 times. Your message is clear. You're saying, those are arbitrary rules. Cooper made them. He's not a prophet. We don't abide by those. It's a year old. You work differently than DJ, etc., etc. Then she starts off by saying her message is, and not to pick her apart, not to demonize her. I'm just saying that your message is cohesive. You're explaining something about the rules and the rules, or the non-rules as they exist now. And her message starts out flip-flopping, almost apologetic. She's withholding, like she usually does, what her true message is. So what is your true message? She's saying there is a lot to say. There's just a lot. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. She says 3 different ways. And then she says, it's just how I feel. Well, that's an easy out. That's an easy cover, okay? You can't explain it. It's how you feel. So then you don't have to explain it because it's a feeling and no one's going to challenge that. And subconsciously, she knows that she's not going to be challenged. It's a feeling. Oh, okay. Well, in the church, when somebody has a feeling, we just honor that. And we say they have inspiration or revelation, and we're not going to pry. We're not going to ask them to reveal their spiritual experiences. And so that's where she goes, and that's where she's at, which isn't fair because it's a work-related conversation, and it's now become personal because she brought it to the personal realm, and she cannot explain, and it's a long story, and she needs to tell you in person, and that's where that leads to. And I'm happy to, send that as an explanation to Macau as well. If you turn this in, if you don't turn this in, then that's fine. But I'm happy to share it anyways. It's just another piece of confirmation that she wants to explain whatever her feeling is, whatever her experience is, whatever her reasons are in person. Because if she didn't need to be in person, or if it was inconvenient for her, or she didn't have a motivation to be in person, she would just tell you flat out, because that's the most economical way. So there's that. I'm going to listen to it again. Okay. Thanks. Hey, it's Matt Osborne. I hope you're doing well. Hey, just real quick, I'm at the Salt Lake Airport, about to fly back to Texas. The reason I wanted to talk to you and a few of the other women are just, I'm trying to write this from the inside as much as possible to try to save OUR. And we just don't have any power against the board. I don't know if you thought that it would be worth talking to any of the women in terms of them making demands that they would pull lawsuits back or reduce the amount of money they were asking for from OUR. If the following demands were met, and these are just off the top of my head, the board would give our permission for OUR to come out clearly and publicly to repudiate and condemn Tim and his methods. Announce a complete separation of OUR from any ties in the past, things like that. Demand immediate resignations of Mark Blake and Craig Anderson, Tim's family members. And then we have the other 2 or 3 board members remain on for 1 or 2 months while they bring in a completely new board, bring in an outside CEO to help us move forward. The board would have an absolute guarantee that no Ballard family member or loyalist will have any role in OUR ever again. And I'd also guarantee that no OUR donor money or funds will go to the Spear Fund or to Tim. That OUR would help all of you, all of the women, sue Tim directly. OUR would do that. OUR would provide assistance to suing Tim. OUR itself would sue Tim. We would come up revised standard operating procedures for international operations to ensure that Tim's methods are never used by anyone in the organization, and any other demands that you can think of. So I just typed these out right now and just reading them to you. Again, this may not work. No worries at all. I want you to hear me clearly say that I support you 100%. I always have. I always will. I support the women 100%. What? No, you don't. Bullshit. You wanted to save OUR first. I support the women 100%. Whatever you think is best. I'm just thinking what is best. Is it best to bankrupt OUR, which it may, may do that, or is it worth one more chance to trying to threaten or trying to have a carrot and a stick? Bored. We will put back on these lawsuits. We will pull back on these lawsuits. We will not go after you specifically. Bored. Tim's family members on the board. We won't go after you specifically, but you must fulfill all of these demands that there will never, ever be another Ballard influencer tie anywhere again to OUR. No money to Tim. No money to Spear. Things like this. Anyways, blank. No need to respond at all. I know you guys might not be able to talk to us now per your counsel, but I just wanted you to hear my voice and say that that's kind of my last Hail Mary to save OUR. And it may not be worth it. It may not be possible. I just wanted you to know how much I have so much respect and love for each and every one of you women. And just, you are so courageous. You are an inspiration to me. And again, this guy knew the whole time. Dude, he was the one running interference. He was the one that would knock on the door after Tim had been there 10 minutes trying to rape somebody. He was the one that come to the office, open the door, and say, "Is everything okay in here?" I know Tim gets a little rapey when he's alone with women. Whatever. You are so courageous. You're an inspiration to me. And again, this may not be the good plan, but I was just thinking off the top of my head. So I will be on my plane now for a little while, but just want you to know that I support you 100%. If you do think that's at all a possibility, let me know. Otherwise, I completely understand. Thank you, blank. Sorry for the long message. Talk to you soon. Capital projects. Items to discuss relating to capital projects. Lake Mary, Florida Digital Fusion Center, $2.5 million cost. Costa Rica, OUR, a Digital Fusion Center. Tim and Nate may have this. Is they doing the 20,000 billion mules? Committed. Costa Rica OUR Academy product, $2.8 million budget, $2.5 million initial cost. Designing and bidding. Murray headquarter remodel, $3 million. Miami office, something. Getting bids for lot facelift, $30,000. Costa Rica information report summary. This is reported prepared by Jason Parker, Regional Director, Central America. Darren Alvino. Oh, this is the land they bought. The land they bought illegally, right? Relating to capital projects. Summary. Several red flags have been raised regarding OUR's expenditures in Costa Rica and the activities of some employees. Primarily CFO Simon Brewer, which cause reason to believe there is, at minimum, a gross misuse of donor funds, the circumstances of which surround but are not exclusive to an approximately 40-acre property that was purchased under the pretense of developing a highly sophisticated aftercare center, which was proposed to require an estimated funding of $100 million. This report raises questions that need to be investigated through a forensic audit, interviews, and if evidence of fraud or embezzlement is suspected, to be turned over to law enforcement for further investigation. This report is meant to solely be inquisitive in nature and not accusatory, as some of the questions raised may have a valid explanation. As Regional Director for OUR Central America, these questions need to be answered, as they could have significant impact on our relationship with foreign governments if country directors are unable to explain OUR's actions. Based on my training and experience in 20 years of investigations, including financial crimes, I believe the circumstances articulated in this report constitute the need for a criminal investigation. Additionally, Country Director of Costa Rica, Darren Alvino, apart from his experience as a U.S. Army Ranger, years as a licensed private investigator in Nevada, and having spent the last 3+ years serving OUR in operational capacity in multiple countries in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, had previously worked for over 8 years at the largest commercial real estate investment advisory firm in the U.S., Marcus and Millichamp. While there, he oversaw and facilitated the disposition and acquisition of investment properties of various property types, primarily single and multi-tenant retail, up to and over $10 million in almost half a dozen states. He has also negotiated ground-up, build-to-suit development projects on behalf of clients with substantially well-capitalized tenants such as Circle K, Inc., Sion Couche-Tard Corporation. I don't know what that is. corporate guaranteed lease. Witnesses in this report have come forward with similar concerns and questions, along with evidence, and suggest the property was purchased outside of the standard operating procedures in OUR. Other concern: this is a property that they claim he was going to make a center for recovery from people who had been trafficked and raped and whatever. But instead, he sold it to some corporate people who made it offices, high-end offices. Crazy. Alimenta Con? I don't know. ACT, corporate guaranteed lease. What does that mean? Is that a company's name? Yeah, I guess so. Or simply, Couche-Tard is a Canadian multinational operator of convenience stores. Oh, it's who owns Circle K, I guess. It's the people who own Circle K. Anyways, other concerns have been raised regarding this legal and financial departments in OUR. Including this report, a map of the aforementioned property in Costa Rica purchased on behalf of OUR by CFO Simon Brewer and former CEO Brad Damon, with Eric Robinson present during discussion with the sellers and their representation, and possibly even at the signing of the closing documents shortly after contingencies were removed. Screenshots of the revised legal identification paperwork of the entity OLH LLC in Costa Rica in the names of Simon Brewer and Eric Robinson, after having replaced Brad Damon as a member, and Mercedes Sancho Ruby listed as a resident agent. Original available upon request. Screenshots of the NGO Foundation created and officially registered in August of 2022 in Costa Rica's National Registry under the name Fundación Operation Underground Railroad, Costa Rica, showing Simon Brewer, Brad Damon, and Eric Robinson as directors, and the founder listed as the aforementioned OHL LLC. Witness statement, Regional Director Carlos Maza. Witness statement, Aftercare Director Jessica Mass. Screenshot of text with Jessica Mass. Witness statement, Contractor Mac Porienta. Investigative information from Costa Rica Country Director Darren Alvino. Screenshot of text message between Porienta and Simon Brewer. Screenshot of text message between Porienta and Matt Osborne regarding pay to Eric Robinson. Screenshots of the 990s. Screenshot of Central America expense report showing payments to Integrated Solutions Services, ISS, for whom the seller of aforementioned property works and co-owns. ISS were the people they were renting the offices to. Email chain with Simon Brewer and Eric Robinson, Mercedes Sacho Ruby, and others regarding Costa Rica property, OLH, LLC, among other items. Persons listed in this report: Dallin Avino, Country Director, Costa Rica; Karen Moran, current aftercare specialist for Costa Rica; Lexi Flores, previous aftercare specialist for Costa Rica; Simon Brewer, CFO for OUR, manager of OLH. So they were CFO of Tim's company, and they started a new company called OLH, which ended up taking the property, developing it into offices, and renting it out to this ISS, Integrated Solution Services. Eric Robinson, Vice President, Legal Affairs for OUR, and manager of OLH. That's the conflict of interest to begin with. Brad Damon, their company bought the land, and they formed a company to develop it. Brad Damon, former CEO of OUR and former manager of OLH. Liesel Leibheiber Rojas, co-owner of Integrated Solution Services and seller of the property, who, according to Mercedes Sancho Ruby, still retains the government-issued rights to water concession located on parcel 617727 of the subject property purchased by OLH LLC utilizing funds provided by OUR. Ulysses Guerrero Aguilera, husband of Leslie, with direct links and ownership of business associated with Liebheiber family, owner of CGI Services and co-owner of Integrated Solution Services and App2Soft, amongst many others. He is also a longtime associate of CFO Brewer. Damn, there's a bunch of people listed. OUR's SOP for registering and setting up bank accounts in the new country. In order to understand CFO's Brewer's actions in Costa Rica are contrary to how OUR operates, it is important to understand the way OUR established a presence in a country and determines the need for registration and banking. The regional director first identifies a country in their region where there is a significant problem with human trafficking, and then, based on certain factors, determines a course of action. Does the host government want OUR's assistance and an actual partnership in fighting human trafficking? What is the stability of the host government? Will the laws of the country allow us to work there? Does the government have a lot of people are like, why doesn't Tim do stuff like this in the U.S.? There's kids in the U.S. Because it's fucking entrapment. Like, it's fucking entrapment. It's not legal here. You can't go there and just be like, I'll give you $1 million if you bring me a 12-year-old child to fuck. Does the host government require us to be registered prior to signing MOUs? Does OUR need office space? Does OUR need full-time, part-time contractors in the country? Does the government have adequate aftercare, or will it allow OUR to help build aftercare? This process takes several months to complete and is predicated by a series of meetings with prosecutors, investigators, social workers, and more often than not, the equivalent of an attorney general. The minimum time this process is 6 months. In March of 2022, in Costa Rica, approximately 9 months before Darren Alvino arrived to act as a country director and begin the process of establishing contacts, and form an MOU with the local government, and a for-profit LLC was created whose sole legal identified purpose is translated as follows: broad exercise of real estate development activities, commerce, industry, agriculture, livestock, and services in all their lawful forms, provide education, technical and vocational training, housing, as well as all incidental and related purposes to fulfill the same. You may buy, sell, mortgage, pledge, and in any way own and dispose of all kinds of property, furniture, and real estate, REM, and personal rights, create trust. An approximately $3 million property was purchased, an office was leased and renovated in one of the most prestigious office towers within the city limits. $100 million was said to have been agreed upon to be provided by specific donors who wish to allocate the funds towards the development of a proposed all-inclusive aftercare facility, and in-country contractors were hired, all without the involvement or in direct contrast of the advice provided by OUR's aftercare and regional directors overseeing this region. So they were going against their specialists they had in that area anyways, aftercare and the directors and shit, because they weren't planning on making aftercare treatment. They were planning on making a business. As articulated below in the witness statement, the regional director, Carlos Maza, and aftercare director, Jessica Mass, claimed they were uninvolved in this process. They did not at the time, nor do they now, agree that OUR needed an aftercare facility such as the one proposed in the site plans in Costa Rica. Mike Parenta produced text messages dating back to January of 2022 where the CFO Brewer said this is a business deal and did not involve operations or aftercare. However, during our email correspondence with CFO Brewer, he claimed he was only following the recommendations of Jessica Mass, who he's never spoken to. He was following her directions, but she's never been involved with this project at all. And they don't agree with this project. While Costa Rica does aftercare-related issues, with which OUR could greatly assist, the country has far more functional aftercare system in comparison to most other countries in which OUR works. So Costa Rica has an aftercare system. And these other countries that do not have like some type of recovery for trafficked people, they don't build multi-million-dollar aftercare places there. So they build it in Costa Rica. Weird. The actions of CFO Brewer, former CEO Brad Damon, and Eric Robinson are cause for major concern when it comes to the handling of donor funds and possibly criminal violations that could negatively impact OUR and the progress made in so many countries to combat human trafficking. Damn. In October 2022, I requested Dan Alvino relocate to Costa Rica to determine how OUR could help in fighting trafficking. I had already been in contact with the Ministerio Publico Prosecutor's Office and Aftercare and had been talking with the Human Trafficking Task Force as well as other aftercare facilities. Through these conversations, it was determined that OUR could begin taking steps to see if Costa Rica was a country we could help in fighting human trafficking. Alvino was sent as acting country director for the first few months until we determined the need for a permanent presence in Costa Rica. After further meetings and believing OUR could work in Costa Rica long term, Alvino was then appointed permanent country director. At the time, OUR Aftercare had a small presence in Costa Rica and was assisting with only a few survivors. OUR Aftercare specialist Lexi Flores was assigned to Costa Rica and would travel there on occasion as necessary. There were no MOUs in place, and OUR had not established a recognizable presence in either operations nor aftercare. An MOU is a, what's it stand for? Memorandum of Understanding, I think. Our office in San Jose, Costa Rica. Alvino stated that when he first arrived, Leslie Liebhaber had a workstation with several computer monitors, and Marisol Sanchez had at least one. Shortly after Alvino started working frequently in the office, Liesel came and removed all of her belongings and has not returned to the office since. In the past year that Alvino has worked at Costa Rica, he almost exclusively works out of this office. No other people work in this office except for two local individuals who Alvino was told were employed by OUR's IT department and report directly to Taylor Huckstep. Darren had previously met with Liesel, Ulysses, CJ, Marisol upon arrival for lunch close to the office. However, when Alvino explained he was the country director for OUR and he would be occupying the office, they seemed surprised and asked general questions about his future plans. The same day Alvino arrived, I received a call from then CEO Dave Jacobs, Simon Brewer, and complained about Alvino being at the OUR office. This is a red flag as to why CFO Brewer would question why a country director was working out of OUR office, because Brewer had set up this shell office that only had locals working there so he could develop real estate there. I don't know if they were planning on taking kids from other countries or if their scheme was they would take Costa Rican kids to Costa Rica, I guess, or kids that had been trafficked overseas but were originally from Costa Rica, maybe. Because it says like they set these up in other countries that actually do something instead of this one. In April 2023, I traveled to Costa Rica for a series of meetings with prosecutors and investigators with Alvino. Alvino took me to the OUR office, and I was shocked to see the newly renovated interior build-out that appeared to require substantial costs. There were workspaces for up to 15 people, and none of them were being used. There was a large conference room and a full kitchen lounge area. There's a back room in the OUR office that contains a large amount of servers, but does not appear to be required for any operations or aftercare-related work. I instructed Alvino to contact all government agencies OUR was working with, see if any of them could share the wasted office space with us. All the agencies declined as the location was not conducive to their needs. So other people that do this type of work don't even want to work there. They're like, way out there? No, there's no way. As of the date of this report, we have not found a purpose for the OUR office in San Jose that justifies assigned a lease for this large space. And then a bunch of questions. The renovations, why? Ops discovers the for-profit real estate LLC and suspicious activity. At the beginning of 2023, country director Alvino began working on the development of an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. So a memorandum of understanding would be like the Costa Rican government has an understanding that OUR is going to work there to help rescue kids. They know their bounds. They know the legal requirements. They know this. They're going to try to rescue kids. They're going to try to work with police to make arrests. They're going to take care of these kids afterwards, blah, blah, blah. It'd just be it's a statement, but it's not like they're entering into negotiations with like China because they're not a country. It's just a memorandum of understanding. We understand you're going to be doing this and we allow it, and you understand we're going to be doing this and you allow that. With prosecutors of the Attorney General, the Human Trafficking Task Force, Border Patrol, and aftercare providers, all which fell under the authority of the Attorney General. Alvino created modified drafts and sent multiple sample MOUs that had already been agreed to and executed by other countries working with OUR to prosecutors within the Costa Rican government. They spent several months discussing and revising versions of the MOU, either directly with Alvino or on their own time. On October 9, 2023, Alvino met with the Attorney General, Carlo Israel Diaz Sanchez, and the MOU was formally signed, allowing OUR to work in conjunction with all government supervising agencies, aftercare-related organizations, and investigative bodies focused on human trafficking. Shortly after signing, representative of the Attorney General's office communicated with Alvino that they did not see any finalized or legally associative documentation representing OUR as a registered LLC or NGO in Costa Rica, nor did they see Alvino's name on any LLC or NGO, so they weren't even registered to be there, right? Related paperwork linking us to our parent organization, OUR Inc. in Utah. So the country's probably like, are you even the real OUR? With which we would have been registered. Alvino then set up an appointment with Mercedes Sancho Ruby, who advised him that he would have needed to have been listed as a member of OLH LLC, or Simon or CJ would have to sign a redraft of the MOU, unless either of them agreed to grant Alvino power of attorney, in which case the amendment to the original MOU would suffice. He was told, so the company's not even registered there, by Mercedes, who claimed during the same meeting that CJ Sanchez was now the manager of the LLC after having replaced Brad Simon. When we looked in the LLC, we discovered OUR has registered as for-profit commercial real estate development, acquisition, disposition, and lending company under the name of OLH LLC. And Simon Brewer and Eric Robinson, not Carlos CJ Sanchez, were the only acting managers and had sole judicial and extrajudicial authority. The LLC did not, in fact, appear to be legally bound to or associated with OUR's parent organization in Utah, nor the board of its mission statements in any way. The entity's address was listed as that of the office in Plaza Tempo, and the registration address was at the registered agent's office, which is that of attorney Mercedes and her firm ECIJA, Akija. Alvino and I discussed how this was not acceptable for OUR to sign an MOU with the AG's office to fight human trafficking under the guise of an LLC, and the later discovered foundation, whose purpose states nothing related to human trafficking issues, such as those pertaining to operations and aftercare. At this point, we began to look deeper as to why OUR would conduct business in this manner. If the AG decides to rescind our currently standing MOU, it would be a huge embarrassment to OUR and could prohibit us from reaching this point again in the future, and could possibly result in the AG formally investigating OUR and their activities within the country on the basis of our OUR representatives having signed and agreed to an MOU drafted under false pretenses. And further investigations, we discovered that in May of 2022, approximately 2 months after having registered OLH LLC, that a 40-acre multi-parcel property of land was purchased in Costa Rica by OLH LLC in Cebadelia, Taracaras, Costa Rica, at the direction of CFO Simon Brewer and then CEO Brad Damon, with which Eric Robinson was present. According to Mercedes, their lawyer, who throughout the time of the purchase was representing the selling entity, whose president was and currently is Liesel Liebhaber Rojas. That's the person that was working in the office. So the person that sold him the land was working in this office that didn't exist for OUR. The property was purchased for and around $3 million, according to Mercedes. Did not include, nor does it currently include, the government-issued contractual rights to water. So they don't even have rights to water, which are still under the control of the selling partner. What the fuck? According to a recent statement of CFO Brewer, the development project was proposed at the cost of $100 million. The following is an explanation that CFO Brewer sent me in an email regarding the property. Quote, the property was originally purchased and sold to us on the premise that we were building an aftercare facility on the property, akin to what another nonprofit is doing in Costa Rica already. Can't remember the name. We helped them buy a coffee cart and rebuild a building. That nonprofit told us that the Costa Rican government had asked them to house all the survivors because Costa Rican social services didn't know how to handle survivors of trafficking. I had been to their facility. It was packed and uncomfortable. They needed more room. They were asking for us to pay for more property. Jessica came down, saw what they were doing, and mentioned if we had some property of our own, we could build a facility to take care of Central and South America. Oh, maybe they were planning on crossing them across state lines. Maybe you're right, Rob P. I was wrong. Statement of Jessica Mass. Now, Jessica claims she had nothing to do with this. On 10/31/2023, I spoke to Jessica Mass regarding the property in Costa Rica. Mass explained she was in Costa Rica visiting aftercare partners, and Brad Damon and Simon Brewer were also in Costa Rica. They requested to speak with her and took her to a property. They explained that they wanted the property for an aftercare center. Mass said she told them there was no need for an aftercare facility in Costa Rica as there were already several NGOs and government programs for aftercare. Mass told them it would actually upset OUR standing in Costa Rica, as OUR's partners would be upset about aftercare facility when there were others OUR was already supporting. Damon and Brewer tried to convince Mass it would be a good move for OUR, and she continued to argue against it. Finally, they said to her they didn't want her to know any more about the property, so she had plausible deniability. Mass reiterated she had nothing to do with the property and advised against the purchase. Attached is a follow-up text message Mass sent to me after our conversation. Hey, again, thank you so much for your call yesterday. I had nothing to do with the finding of the land in Costa Rica, and it was definitely not my idea to buy it. Again, the guy says, oh, it was her idea, and apparently it isn't. I just really appreciate the heads up that Simon is trying to tie me to his illegal activities. I won't take the fall for him because I had zero to do with whatever he's doing. I was just curious if or when you were going to HR. I'm so glad you're not letting him get away with using donor dollars for his own gain. I'm still shocked. And it has a list of questions like, why did they do this? I spoke with Regional Director of Central American, Carlos Maza, about Costa Rica. Maza said he was unaware of the OUR office in San Jose and was never asked about the purchase of property and did not have any input. Maza said if OUR would actually attempt to build an aftercare facility that housed survivors from different countries, it would be extremely problematic to obtain visas for the survivors. Yeah, you're going to take somebody straight from trafficking and then try to get them a visa into a different country? Rob P. was right. Questions. Why did CFO Brewer hide the purchase of the property from Regional Director Carlos Maza, who's over, Central and South America? Why did CFO Brewer plan a regional aftercare facility without understanding if OUR could even legally bring survivors from other countries? Because it was never that. It was real estate development. Damn. Mike Parenta. I spoke with OUR contractor Mike Parenta regarding a conversation he had with CFO Brewer in early 2022. The conversation with Parenta, CFO Brewer, was memorialized in text messages and dated back to 1/18/2022. As seen below in the screenshots of the messages, Parenta asked CFO Brewer if he wanted to involve Regional Director Carlos Maza, as he and then Director of International Ops Matt Osborne seemed unaware of the Costa Rica project. CFO Brewer told Parenta, Costa Rica was purely for business reasons. That's a quote. Costa Rica was purely for business reasons. Damn it. Well, that's not good. And there's all the text messages. I'm not going to try to read all those. Well, I better. Let's see. Can we zoom in one? Will it even load if I zoom in? Is that too much? Hold on, we got to get back to where we were. Nope. Oh, no, yeah, we're past that. That was the conference room and shit at the first of the report. All right, what do we got? Damn, it's still hard to read. I wish they'd have done a higher quality copy. Let's see. There are 3 heads moving around the world, but something, yeah, with CJ and his team, just something, I don't know. Development missions aftercare. Carlos only has to worry about missions. What I need from Carlos is where he needs our business to expand, and I will take care of it. Something he still has not provided to me. I take care of business. He takes care of missions. Jessica takes care of aftercare. I can't read the blue. True. After that, why we have not moved. After that is why we have not moved in anywhere else. Waiting on him. But Costa Rica was purely for business reasons. Then Jessica came down and wanted aftercare. But she didn't have anything to do with it. We have not touched the government law enforcement side. Nor will we. If they come to us, we will send to Carlos. As long as they something. As long as they are teachable, it's all good. One thing they always forget is we are not the U.S. government. We don't automatically have an in everywhere because of our embassy. We still have a private company subject to each country's laws and regulations. Deep state, man. Are the blue ones, is it just my computer or are they intentionally blurred? I see he said deep state. Are they making a joke? They won't. That's the thing. We are not doing anything to gather attention because we are going in as a business. We will already own property down there before they know we are there. What if I zoom out some? Sorry. Gotta do it again. What if I zoom out and then zoom in with this box? Does that help it any? Deep state, man. They won't. That's the thing. We are not doing anything to gather attention because we are going in as a business. We will already own property down there before they know we are there. Yep, CR registration is in process. Our Costa Rica LLC will open the Costa Rican entity, which will own the Costa Rican entity, which will own the land. Our Costa Rica LLC will own the Costa Rican entity, which will own the land. Okay. After further research of the property of OLH LLC, it was discovered CFO Brewer had either previously met or at least knew Liesl Liebhaber and Ulysses Guerrero, her husband, who had traveled various times in the past to Utah with Carlos C.J. Sanchez, with whom CFO Brewer had known personally since the time working together at backcountry.com between the years of 2009 and 2013. Carlos C.J. Sanchez also co-founded and operates two companies with Ulysses Guerrero, CGI Services and App2Soft, and also co-own or be employed by Integrated Service Solutions. Given the fact his daughter, Marisol Sanchez, is an employee with an ISS-related email address, and both she and CJ control access to the distribution keys of the office, to the office and the property in Aluela? I don't know. If it is the understanding of Alvino and myself that CFO Brewer has contracts established with both CJ and his daughter Marisol through OUR to handle business affairs for OLH LLC, in Marisol's case, to work with survivors when our OUR aftercare specialist Lexi Flores was unable to assist with out of the country. On 11/9/2023, I emailed OUR aftercare specialist Lexi Flores regarding Marisol Sanchez and in what capacity she served. Flores replied in an email. She would help me sometimes by taking things to survivors and occasionally paying for survivors therapy through the ISS, Integrated Service Solutions, so payments would go through faster, but nothing official. I believe she is under Simon's department. Well, the following is what we understand so far. The purchase of the property was funded by OUR and finalized by an entity which was set up 2 months prior to the closing date by former CEO Damon and CFO Brewer and an attorney acting as the entity's registered agent, Mercedes. The name of the entity is OLH LLC, whose registered address was and is listed on the Costa Rican National Registry's entity page as San Jose something something whatever. Second floor operations underground railroad offices. So they're listed. Their address is listed as in the office. The attorney Mercedes is a well-established real estate attorney whose services are paid for by OUR to handle business specific to the needs of OLH LLC, but does not have any fiduciary responsibility to OUR Incorporated, its donors, nor its employees. Given the fact that neither the LLC nor the foundation have any legally binding ties to OUR's parent company in Utah or anything whatsoever related to its mission statement, additionally, she also legally represents most, if not all, of the Liebhaber estate and its business entity. God, this is so crazy. It's the fucking money laundering at its finest, which so the lawyer works for the people who sold them the land to a company that is funded by OUR but has no relation to OUR. And that same family that sold them the land owns the business that leased the property, the office from them, and makes payments for OUR to trafficking survivors and victims for supplies and training and therapy. That's insane. That's insane. No, you got roulette. You're looking for roulette. That's what you're looking for. You got 8-ball. You got slots. You got roulettes. Bingo. Raffle, but I don't have the raffle on. What are the others? I think that's it. A queue. Maybe. It's a raffle that I'd have to set up. I don't think it's running right now. And they also owned App2Soft. They own everything. Why was the specific property purchased? What was the selling price justified? Or did OUR overpay? What is the current fair market value? There wasn't even an estimate on it. Did they overpay? All right, so it says OUR. It says property sold to OLH LLC by the Liebhaber. And it says OUR, OLH, which has Brewer, Damon, Robinson, and Mercedes. Attorney Mercedes. App2Soft, Ulysses Guerrera, CJ Sanchez, which is also connected to them. Integrated Service Solutions, Ulysses Guerrero. It's a big money wheel. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I think that's it for tonight, guys. I'll do some more digging on this, but I'm not going to read everything here. But yeah, there's a big money laundering scheme and property development, all for profit, that most of the members of OUR that were actually out there trying to do good work had no idea about, or were specifically kept out of. And Tim Ballard's over here raping people, allegedly. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to end a little bit early. I'm going to get home. Mariah's sick. But thank you guys for joining us. I'll be back this week. I got to make up some Patreon content. I got to build a desk. I got a couple things to do. There's some 3D print stuff I want to do. I got to get the other channel going. I might start taking, like I said before, I might start doing the weekends maybe or something for my other channel, because I really want to get into building some stuff, making some stuff. I've been watching a bunch of videos. It's got me excited about it. And I think I'd be happier doing that type of stuff anyways, at least as a break between this other stuff. But fuck Tim Ballard. He's a piece of shit. Sue me. We'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Oh, support the show if you feel the need to. If God sends you a dream or something that tells you that I'm going to do great work, building cars and projects and things, make sure you take your I mean, it's just fiat currency. It's basically worthless. Just take it at coldbeer.fund, drop it all off. See you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Oh, that's me. Hi.
You don't have the fork in.
I had to move it back. Okay, now it's good.
My name, and tell them exactly who they are, and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off. It's about to get.
Tim Ballard's really an evil piece of shit, dude. This is crazy. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought. All these people out here worship him, calling him a saint and a hero. And he's got, what's his name, who played Jesus out there screaming, adrenochrome.
Cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer?
Here's one fun fact I'll tell you about Mariah. Over the last week, I have learned, 1, she doesn't know what arsenic tastes like, and 2, she's not building a very big tolerance to it. So,
just like he's King Kong, starving for attention, I'm gonna make your gut burst. I'll be your Huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet.
Wait, my friend bought a home in Costa Rica. I fear for her safety. It's a big hug for they're not illegals when they're in Costa Rica.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't
They're just people traveling.
find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking.
I did get Laura. I saw your email about Derek Johnson. I watched it. I'm gonna cover that video. He's such an idiot. He confuses 3 volley salute and everything again. I watched probably 10 minutes for the timestamp you sent me, and a little bit after. So he's an idiot. I'll probably cover the whole thing.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss him off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders. They ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on Cox that came first. 9th inning, second string, and they acting like they know hitters. Assholes throwing bullshit, sending runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my.
Typically, people who come here legally or illegally tend to commit less crime than people that are here, born and raised here. Actually, they're 60% less likely to ever be incarcerated in their home country here, wherever. Something like that. There's a big study that was done in 2020 about it, or 2022. I can't remember.
I think I started some shit. Piss him off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet.
You don't have those guts because you're a pussy. You're a pussy wearing aviator glasses in your mother.
You might not want them here because jobs or strain on the system or whatever, but it doesn't seem like they commit more crime than anybody else does. I commit crimes against grandmas. See you guys.